Many of you do not know my relationship with the Attorney General. He is like a big brother to me. He taught me at Legon, and he also was part of my training. Indeed, we formed a firm together. And indeed, I was like his foreman even when he was putting up his first building in Accra. This is our relationship. The relationship is such that because he trained me and he taught me, I have a bit of him in me. He doesn't have a bit of me in him. And so sometimes my display of his bit in me stirs him up a bit. But at the end of the day, just as we were doing in private practice, we will bicker at home. But our product, when we finally churn it out, will be most robust and most fruitful. And this is our promise to Ghana, that we are working together. We cannot but work together, and we are going to work together in full collaboration, see to the end of this matter. Semu asembisa eye, muni asembisa swa eye pa was my bread. The outcome of the investigation is that the OSP will charge the following persons with various corruption and corruption-related offenses before the end of November 2025. 1. Kenneth Nanayao Oforiatta, former Minister of Finance. 2. Ernest Akori, chef de cabinet to Kenneth Nanayao Oforiatta as Minister of Finance. 3. Emmanuel Kofinti, former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority. 4. Amishadai Owusu-Amoah, former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority. 5. Isaac Krensel, former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority and General Manager of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. 6. Kwejo Damwa, former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority and Member of Parliament for German South constituency. As part of the process, the OSP will seek to recover the financial loss caused to the Republic from the persons listed above. Also, the OSP will recover a total amount of 125 million cedis from SML by way of a disgorgement of unjust enrichment of overpayment by the return of the benefit of this amount it obtained unfairly at the expense of the Republic.
Was the special Kisi Ejabeng this week, addressing quite a number of things and an update on the Kenneth Nanayao Oforiatta investigations. Now he has indicated by the end of this month, today is the 1st of November, so he says by the end of the month of November, he is going to charge Kenneth Oforiatta, the former finance minister, and the 5 others. We'll wait for that. But he also took time to address this seeming or reported tension or some severe, collaboration between his office and that of the Attorney General. And that's what you heard him talk about, tracing their relationship into the before they even came into office, that as public office, private life. But then again, there is some more expectation on the special prosecutor on this matter of Kenneth Nanayao Oforiatta. His lawyer has been speaking, will tell you exactly why some anti-corruption crusaders and private legal practitioners are of the view that the OSP can do more than what it has done now. Why is that? Is that a fair expectation? We'll have a conversation this morning here on The Key Point on TV3. Also this morning, President John Dramani Mahama directed the immediate termination of all contracts between the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML. Well, there was a particular contract that was still running. There were quite a number of components within that contract. If you recall that the former president, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, suspended when the KPMG finished that audit sometime last year. But there was a particular part of that contract, one component that was still running. That's what the cancellation will impact on. So we'll wait for that. This week, we also heard the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Akretenge Ayene, this week also go into a bit further the matters relating to the Operation Recover or Loot Oral cases and matters arising. In fact, the details of the forensic audit of the National Service Authority, which we have a copy of. We're going to show you portions of it because it's quite a bulky one. But we've teased out the major issues, and that's going to form a major part of our conversation this morning. That if we put measures in place to deal with public sector corruption, we're having to talk about this matter, talk about a forensic audit that uncovered an amount of over 2.2 billion Ghana cedis involved in this entire National Service Authority corruption enterprise, as the Attorney General put it. Well, the former Director General was in court this week. He was slapped with 800 million Ghana cedis bail. We don't have updates as yet as to whether he has been able to meet that bail condition. But we will have a conversation this morning on the details of this forensic audit. It's quite troubling. The focus is going to be what has to be put in place to ensure this doesn't happen again. The current NSA leadership, they've changed the software and so on. Is that enough? That's a conversation that we have this morning. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Kofi-Boa, who is the acting Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. If you recall, this LI 2462 was actually laid and that by the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, and not the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. So yesterday, what he did in the capacity of acting Minister for Environment, Science, Technology. Now, he's laid this LI, in fact, to revoke the LI 2462. Now, we'll tell you exactly what has led to this development, especially because he references a previous intervention that sought to remove or revoke that component within the LI 2462 that allowed mining companies to mine in forest reserves. A number of the CSOs that were asking for this revocation have been reacting to it. Say, yes, it is good. Say it's not enough. Why is that? Stay with us. We'll have a conversation this morning. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. My guests already joining me. We'll get into the poll tracker. It's a very interesting conversation we're having on the poll tracker after this quick break. Daniel Yao Demelovo, the former Auditor General of the Republic of Ghana, is going to be joining us. We also would have Alfred Apia, a data analyst. We have Solomon Owusu. He is the Communications Director, National Communications Officer of the UP, United Party Plus. So he's going to be joining us. We have Dr. Joshua Zato will also be joining us as well. So stay with us here on the Key Point. Martin Pebble is also going to be joining us after this quick break. Professor Ransford Jampo as well. I am Alfred Ocansey. Welcome. This is Key Point. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us.
Hoho United versus Redeemer SC, and Asante Kotoko versus Karela United. Live right here on TV3, the Ghana Premier League. It's more than 3 points. The of hopefuls, 30 outstanding voices took the stage, bringing passion, power, and pure talent. But now, the real breakout begins. 16 dreamers ready to own the spotlight, chase greatness, and make history. Who will rise and who will fall? Find out as we unveil the top 16 finalists on Mentor Season 14, the Breakout Edition, this Sunday, 8 p.m. only on TV3.
Brought to you by Fratelli Calipo,
Darling Lemon Drink,
Darling XYZ Wine.
Welcome back. This is Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. Welcome to the Poll Tracker. This is a carefully created segment of this show that is data-driven, data that is publicly verifiable and available, so that you, our viewers, can follow every step of the way. And this morning, as we've always done, we are getting into a conversation deeply rooted in data, but creates a worrying trend that Musa Nankwa and also the Afrobarometer survey have tracked: public sector corruption. It's not looking good. And we segue into this National Service Authority, the latest details of the forensic audit. But here is why this is a problem. I'm going to show it to you. The total irregularities, financial irregularities in our public institutions over the last, at least we tracked the last 5 years. It tells a story, a troubling one for that matter. And look at this. In 2020, total irregularities, we're talking about cash irregularities, payroll irregularities, procurement. Procurement is a big issue in the public sector. One of the areas that facilitates corruption. Procurement. There's 12.9 billion total irregularities in 2020, increased to 17.5 billion Ghana cedis in 2021, 15.1 billion in 2022, 8.8 billion cedis in 2023. And you look at that. In the election year 2024, we had the highest within the 5-year period that we are tracking, 18.4 billion Ghana cedis. And as we put it on record, the caveat is that not all of this is lost essentially, but these are irregularities captured by the Auditor General. This is a country that is still grappling with resources. We lack resources. We say we don't have enough money to prosecute a number of the projects that we are also then financing. Now look at this. 2024 recorded the highest irregularities coinciding with an election year and the end of a presidential tenure. Now, this is where we see a very interesting trend. And if you look at the total irregularities breakdown, financial institutions that lend to public institutions and the public institutions that also give out some form of loans forms 62.6 billion Ghana cedis. The procurement cash payroll irregularities constituted a little over 10 billion Ghana cedis. And this is where it gets worrying. The loans and debts in the public sector alone constitute over 86.2%. And this is why the president was of the view that people should be going to Insawam for some of these crimes. This is it. Cash irregularities over 6.9 billion within that 5-year period. And then procurement irregularities over 1.5 billion Ghana cedis. And you have contract over 1.3 billion. And then the big one, you see the other one as well here, which has been of major concern, over 38 million related to payroll irregularities. All of these irregularities on a yearly basis, it keeps repeating. We have this. It's not like one of them has been dealt with. Every year, it is repeated. And we lose money through either cash, procurement, contract, tax, payroll, stores. All of these. So what is the problem? Coupled with this forensic audit that tends to reveal a lot more than what the normal audit reveals, that we even cry about at the Public Accounts Committee. This is the president, a couple of weeks ago, make that call that we should be sending people to Insawam as a way of deterring others from engaging in this level of public sector corruption. Take a look.
To find a final solution to this Auditor General's report, that persons who are found guilty of infractions or do not follow due procedure or lead to loss of public resources, we must have a fast-track process to Nsawam. Fast-track, before you see you are in Nsawam, 6 months. You know, until we do that, until there's a deterrent, we're going to come every year and they say total misappropriation and infractions of found out by the Auditor General is about 15 billion cedis. I mean, if we save 15 billion cedis, can you imagine what it could do? To find a final solution to this Auditor General's report, that persons who are found guilty of infractions or do not follow due procedure or lead to loss of public resources, we must have a fast-track process to Nsawam. Fast-track, before you see you are in Nsawam, 6 months. You know, until we do that, until there's a deterrent, we're going to come every year and they say total misappropriation and infractions of found out by the Auditor General is about 15 billion cedis. I mean, if we save 15 billion cedis, can you imagine what it could do?
So that's the president, John Dramani Mahama there. How many of you share in that sentiment? Because of all of this, these irregularities due to public sector corruption, people should just be sent to Nsawam as a way of deterring others from engaging in this level of public sector corruption that is uncovered by the Auditor General in the audit reports, at least, that we tracked between 2020 and 2025. This is even beyond what the forensic audit that the National Service Authority, in fact, was subjected to brought. We'll get into that, but we're dealing with this Auditor General's findings over the last 5-year period and the President's sentiments and concerns and his recommendations. Well, I've been joined in the studio by Dr. Joshua Zato. He is a senior lecturer, Political Science Department at the University of Ghana, Legon. Which I indicated he's not dropped that intentions of representing the people of Sisala. He's not dropped, as far as I know. We've been having private conversations on the ticket of the MPP. But it's good to have you. Good morning. Dr. Joshua Zato.
Good morning, Alfred. Good morning.
Wonderful.
My friend here, Solomon, says he will write a check for me. No, I'll introduce him. He says he will write a check for me one day. So he has money. So
wonderful. Let me welcome his very good friend, Solomon Owusu. He is the National Communications Officer for the newly formed United Party Plus, UP Plus party, led by Alan Kojo Chemanting. Mr. Solomon, also good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Alfred, and happy to be back and happy to be here. And good morning to my brother, Dr. Zato, who has thrown into the air some misrepresentations that has to be dealt with this morning.
Which is what?
He made certain statements over the week that Paul Afoko rejoining the MPP is a pain to the UP. And I thought that...
it means the MPP is still attractive.
Well, how is it attractive? He has always been a member of the MPP. So if you own one of your own, that is rejoining you join, so how is it a pain to the UP party?
But he was suspended.
If you are suspended, doesn't mean you are not part of the party.
I don't know that you watched the show Wednesday. You were watching it.
No, I watched. But the point is that I was very surprised. It tells me how you are threatened by the existence of the UP. Because we were not looking for Paul Afoko to come and do anything in our party. We have our interim national chairman, we have all our executives in place, we have a founding leader of the party. So what were we expecting Paul Afoko to come and do in our party? If you suspended someone and you claim him back, how does it become a pain to a party that has been formed to win political power?
Don't worry, the pain is small. It's okay.
How can
the pain is small.
No, but I was very surprised that you go on that tangent that it is a pain to the UP party.
Is it not?
It is.
How can it be?
It is.
If someone who once described the political parties as a foam decides to go back to the same foam, who is that person?
So,
yeah, really.
Now,
That's the point.
Now, let me speak.
That's the point. If someone who, in spite of the fact that you were legitimately elected, and the mafia decides to kick you out of which your own brother suffers the consequences of it, decides to go back and rejoin the people that punished the brother because of him. How does it become my pain? It must rather be a source of concern to him and his family. And anybody that thought that, hey, he would do the right thing. And so, for me, if there is any pain, that pain has to be with the family and any acquaintances. I know the UP party that is flourishing, that is rigorously recruiting members, most of which are coming from the New Patriotic Party.
Interesting.
So let me quickly say, Honorable Paul Afoko, you wanted to...
No.
Honorable Paul Afoko, good morning, thank you. What you did was you demonstrated political maturity. You demonstrated that you still love your roots and your party. You demonstrated that even though you left the mothership briefly, you came back. You demonstrated that your party, the New Patriotic Party, is still very attractive. You demonstrated that the New Patriotic Party still has the solutions to this country and not where you go. And I'm happy that you did that. I'm also happy that when you left the MPP for all these years, you never attacked the MPP, you never criticized the MPP, you never said anything bad about the MPP. You acted in a matured way, you acted in a responsible way, and that you never bit the hand that fed you. You never bit the hand that fed you. Even though, again, you had every legitimate right, like he said, your brother suffered on the MPP, your president suffered, even because of all this.
It is the most useless legitimate reason
to be bitter. You were not bitter. You had every legitimate reason to insult and to criticize the MPP. You never did. But people who were fed by the MPP from 2016 to 2020, people who got juicy appointment under Nana Addo, people who at one point in time sat in Nana Addo's cabinet, like Honorable Alan Chirameteng, with those who have criticized the MPP. That is bitterness. And that is bitterness. This bitterness. Look, you said they are Nana People's Party. You still know. You said they.
No, hold on. I am going to ask him that question.
Nana people were appointed.
I have to give it time to respond.
You will respond.
All right.
You said Nana People's Party. MP is not Nana People's Party. Let's just agree that. Who is Nana People's Party? I define Nana people as people that Nanado appointed and gave them jobs, gave them food,
you are actually
gave them
going
accommodation.
beyond
You
what
did
I
that.
actually-
No, it's true. No, it's important.
Okay.
Now you come out and you are literally shitting on the party or the people that fed you one day. Today, Paul Afoko has shown you grace.
Okay.
He has shown you that is not how to do the kind of politics you did. It's childish.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Well, at what point did Paul Afoko leave the NPP?
No, he wasn't. He was suspended.
Yes.
He left. He was suspended.
He was suspended, but
Yes.
he didn't leave.
No, he was suspended. When you have suspended for a party, you're no more there.
No.
You're suspended.
He was suspended as a
You were
national chairman of the
suspended as a
party.
national chairman.
But he was never suspended as a
Hold on, hold on.
He was suspended. Good. If he was suspended, Alfred, imagine that you run and win to be a national chairman and then you are suspended, removed from office. Everything that you promised delegates, you are not doing it.
Yes.
Imagine also after all that, your own brother is going through a lot under the same government.
Okay.
Imagine all this.
Okay.
Despite all this, he has shown maturity. He has shown that the MPP is more attractive. He has come back home and he's telling people that don't be ungrateful to the people that once fed you and clothed you.
Okay, you just I needed to clarify that. Yes.
So first of all, Paul Afoko
in 2 minutes
has been a member of the MPP. He never left the MPP. So if you are a member of a group and you still remain a member of the group, what sort of how do you describe the person as coming from somewhere? Again, there is no way that you can describe Alan Chamante as an ungrateful being.
Okay.
How did he become an ungrateful being? Just by leaving a political party that he feels that the foundation, the ideologies based upon which it was set up has been deviated and so going on his way. You cannot be going on that tangent. That is a mark of a man who believes in principles.
Okay.
If there was anything to go by, then you are telling me that Anado leaving the PFP in 1979 was also a mark of being disingenuous. Forming the UNC with his uncle Powell was disingenuous. That is not it. You came for a political party through another person.
All right.
Your own candidate, Baumia, you are supporting. It is a public record that he was never a member of the MPP. What was his political lineage? Was it not NDC?
All right, so thank you, gentlemen, thank you. Let me also acknowledge the presence of a man who has, over the period, impacted knowledge in many ways. In fact, we've been having conversations for some time now, and today he's here in a very important capacity because this matter that we're going to deal with is one that he has been working on for quite a while. Isaac Danso-Ejiri is a chartered accountant. He is a private legal practitioner. One time, in fact, many years ago, he was the best graduating law student from the Ghana School of Law, and he's worked in many ways. He's a PhD candidate in the Oxford University, and he's joining us in the studio. Isaac Danso-Ejiri, good morning.
Good morning, Alfred, and thanks for having me.
Welcome. Finally, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Also
me.
joining us is the CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority, a political scientist, Professor Ransford Jampo. Prof, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Alfred. Thanks for having me. Yesterday, we at the Ghana Shippers Authority convened a seminar for judges. We call it Maritime Law Seminar for Judges, and it was about updating all judges about what is happening in our maritime space. It was about sensitizing judges about our new act that empower us as effective regulator in the maritime space. It was also about taking judges on tour of the ports to see at first hand what happens there to guide judges in determination of matters that we send to them. If people are running afoul of our laws, if people are milking shippers dry, and we decide to take them to court, we wanted the judges to appreciate what really takes place within our industry so that their judgment could be contextualized and in a manner that would make them effective in the delivery and in the adjudication of disputes that placed before them. And so it was successful. I saw the acting Chief Justice and all the important people, or all the judges were there. It was exciting to see how they came to listen to us in our sensitization drive. And I want to commend the management and staff of the Ghana Shippers Authority for helping all of us to achieve this feat. I also want to make the point, I don't know whether I should make it off air or, but I think that it's about the.
If you're unsure, then we'll talk about it.
No. I want to. I still want to talk about it. I still want to talk about it. I think that my brother Zato and my brother Solomon, they have their morning displays, and it occurs. Sometimes I watch them in the other programs that you hold. But when we come here on key points, you should allow us to be sober in reflecting on the issues and not the bantering that now they are gradually being known.
So they have always.
Otherwise, don't
their
put them together. Sit one day and then the other one day.
They'll be together.
Because one day.
They are very good friends. Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much.
Otherwise, separate them.
Thank you very much.
Because it's like the moment they come together, and then I can see your camera people just laughing and they are excited about that.
You stated your point.
I don't think that is.
They are very good friends, and they have their differences.
Let them do this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But when we come on Saturday,
that leads us to our next issue and what we've been talking about. This foundation that has been laid this morning, specifically about, gentlemen, thank you, about what has been of major concern, not only to the president, but to quite a number of people. Alfred Apia is a data scientist. He's joining us as well on Zoom. Alfred, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Alfred, and good morning to everybody in the studio.
Perfect. Now, Daniel Yao Demelovo is a former Auditor General of the Republic of Ghana. He's also joining us via Zoom. And Martin Pebu as well, private legal practitioner, is joining us via Zoom as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. First off, I want to start off with you. Professor Ransford Jampo, if you see these irregularities captured in the Auditor General's report over a 5-year period, and the view of the president is send people to Insom as a way of deterrence. Let's hear from the president again, who set the basis for it, because it's a major issue of concern. Take a look at this.
To find a final solution to this Auditor General's report, that persons who are found guilty of infractions or do not follow due procedure or lead to loss of public resources, we must have a fast-track process to Nsawam. Fast-track, before you see you in Nsawam, 6 months. Until we do that, until there's a deterrent, we're going to come every year and they say total misappropriation and infractions of found out by the Auditor General is about 15 billion cedis. I mean, if we save 15 billion cedis, can you imagine what it could do?
Prof, that's a president, isn't there?
Yes, I think I would
Just
very
3
much.
minutes, very quickly.
I will very much agree with President Mahama that we have to do something about the way and manner we've been handling our battle against corruption, especially if you look at the role of the Auditor General that is always performed on matters that can be described as dated. Oftentimes, Auditor General is looking at issues that have long taken place, and then the perpetrators may have lost their lives, perpetrators may have exited office, and so they are reporting about dated issues. And then also, they report these things, and it takes a long time for us to take action, and sometimes actions do not get taken. Mm-hmm. And so it becomes a bit worrying. It appears that we have not shown over the years much seriousness in confronting corruption. And also, we have not really shown much seriousness in speaking against the way and manner the conduct of our audit service, takes place. I think that there should be a rather more proactive, there should be a rather more forceful way of going about their enterprise in a manner that will bring about a certain deterrence. Because from what I've seen over the years, you see people involved in these things, and it creates your impression that is formed in your mind is that, the people who may have run afoul of some of our laws, the people who may have done some of the things that may have been found by the Auditor General, are people who also meant to insult our sensibilities. Because you see that some of these things are done with impunity, and stealing or looting the state in a manner that creates an impression that, look, you can never be caught. It's an insult to the sensibility of the very people you are stealing from. And so to steal, but on top to insult the sensibility of the people that you are stealing from should warrant a certain stiffer punishment that would bring about a certain deterrence so everybody will see. But from the way and manner things are going and we're doing things, it appears that it becomes even more lucrative to want to dip your hand in the public coffers, because after all, even if we decide to take you to court, you can also recruit a very smart lawyer who would successfully drag the matter in the processes for more than 4 years, for more than 5 years, and for more than whatever, how many number of years, so that at the end of the day, if you are lucky and power changes hands, then somebody will come and say that, well, I've given you amnesty, or I'm discontinuing the case and all that. And all these things do not help our efforts or our fight against corruption. Right. And so I very much agree with President Mahama that we should find a way of getting the Auditor General to be more proactive in dealing with some of these things. Otherwise, look at the graph, the chart that you've shown. 2020, it was 12.9 billion. 2021, 17.5 billion. 2022, 15.1 billion. 2023, 8.8 billion. 2024, 18.4 billion. And what are we doing to the perpetrators of this crime? Are we always going to go on this tangent? Every year you have the Auditor General reporting on infractions. And then we'll be hoping that the next year will come. Then when the next year comes, we'll hope that maybe there will be more infractions to overshadow the previous one. And then we are moving on. Look, the battle against corruption will continue to be fought and be lost if we don't also overhaul the activities and the work of the Auditor General to ensure that there is a certain sense of proactiveness and there is a certain sense of seriousness. It's not a matter of just reporting how much has been stolen from us. It's also a matter of we as a nation supporting certain punitive sanctions that, look, you read some of these reports and then you ask that, but these people, is it that they thought that they were never going to be caught? Stealing and going about, I think I'm told that with the National Service case,
we'll get there.
We'll get there. But the point is, it was. You look at the findings and the outcome of the investigations, and you ask, but is it that the person was greedy, too greedy, or he was an incompetent thief? Or some of the things, if you are doing and you have sense, you should even know that this one, I'll be caught. But stealing in a manner that creates an impression that you don't even care that you'll be caught, or you don't even know, you don't bother even if you are caught. It's also an insult to the sensibility of the good people of Ghana. And I'm saying that if you steal, it is punishable. But if you also go on to demonstrate that impunity by insulting our sensibilities, then you should have a stiffer punishment. And so, yes, oral has come to stay, investigations have gone on, and findings are being churned out. I am saying that, look, Professor Mills, he's a man that I like. He's a man that I supported because of his posturing, his persona, and the way and manner he went about his governance process. But what he did not do to help the people of Ghana was the fact that he did not want a lot of prosecutions. He didn't want people to be, well, immediately power changers. People are lined before the courts and they are being prosecuted and all that. So he wanted some kind of in-house discussion of some of these issues. That's not what J. Kufuor did. If Kufuor had done that, Kwame Pepra, Victor Salome, and all those people would not have gone to jail. And so Professor Mills did that, and I believe that created a certain impunity. And it got to a time that some people in the previous administration, when they got to power, they said, if we're that corrupt, why is it that we were not jailed? Today, we've had oral. And I'm saying that if through oral and through investigations and through the right processes, we do not find people who are culpable and people who have drained our nations financially, we do not put them behind bars. Look, we cannot continue to guarantee the safety of our Fourth Republic because people are very angry and they are looking for those who have milked our nation dry through corruption to be dealt with.
True. Well, you see, even beyond the very critical issue you raise about the anger and the despondency amongst people, we tracked the 5-year period. But Alfred, you went beyond 2020. You went way back into from 2017 to 2024, an 8-year period. Now, tell me what you found.
Over the 8-year period, if you're looking at from 2017 to 2024, the Auditor General is reporting 93 billion in financial irregularities over that period. I think back to the question that you had asked, I agree with the president in principle that if people steal from us, of course we have to go after them and get our monies, right? Part of the point that I would also like to make though is that, and we do have the former Auditor General and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but the financial irregularities generally doesn't always mean stolen money, right? So when you look at the Auditor General's report, at least on the public corporations, the boards and the statutory bodies, right? For example, the 18.4 billion that we are looking at in 2024, a significant part of that is usually interagency debt, right? So for example, in 2024, when you're looking at about 18.4 billion, about 12.5 billion of that is money that agencies owe each other. So for example, ECG owed Bui Power, or SNIT didn't transfer money to the National Health Fund, things like that, right? So part of when we say we want to throw people in those situations, right, it is agency that are owing each other that is adding to those financial irregularities, right? So it might not always be criminal in nature to throw people in jail because of that. So we'll have to, of course, examine and look at the root cause and see why ECG, for example, is unable to pay Bui Power, and that is contributing to the financial irregularities, right? So I think we'll have to, of course, nuance the conversation a little bit when it comes to the amount. Generally, we like to talk about the overall financial irregularities as the stolen money, but it's not always stolen money. And I just wanted to give that typical example. So when you look at the data over time, right, you see that in a lot of years, the vast majority of the amount of money that is put out as financial irregularities actually is outstanding debts, right? Or sometimes it could also be bad debts, like loans that SNIT doesn't think it will be able to recover. All of that will be captured in those financial irregularities. So we'll just have to sort of balance the conversation in that way. But I definitely agree with the president that if people have those that have genuinely stolen from us and we can prove that, we definitely need to take those people on and get our monies back.
Is it the part you take, Isaac, as well? No,
I'll
come to you. I'll come to you, Prof. Yes,
I
Isaac,
thought you came in to contribute to what I was saying, so I wanted to say that.
I'll come to you, Isaac.
Yeah, so I mean, thank you, Alfred. I totally agree that when we're looking at the Auditor General's report in particular, we make that quite clear to the public that not all the infractions and the irregularities that are reported are actually monies that have been stolen. And we need to distinguish it, because once we throw up these big figures and we talk about it as if these are monies that have actually been stolen, it brings up a lot of, we sensationalize the issue. People then take very entrenched partisan positions and partisan lines, which denies us as a republic the opportunity to actually look into it and find lasting sort of solutions. And as this, report on the screens show, it's almost the same issues that's gone on for the past 8 years, as Alfred is reporting. And I'm sure if you go beyond the 8 years, take a 20-year, 15-year period, it's the exact same issues, and so what are the learnings we are picking from some of this, sort of reports that the Auditor General helps us with, and how do we apply these learnings in a manner that, we can build our institutions, to be able to withstand some of these temptations and trappings that comes with, being in public office. The Auditor General, former Auditor General is on, and I'm sure he will be throwing more light on this. But the idea of the Auditor General's report is supposed to be sort of a house cleaning, over a period after a year has gone by. We want to clean up and see if there was anything that the institutional structures and governance structures that we have in the institution, has not picked up on, because they're supposed to be external to the institution.
Absolutely.
You think of it, and Prof is here. And I just want to congratulate him on what he's doing with the Ghana Shippers Authority. But the Ghana Shippers Authority has an internal audit unit, right? And it's the internal audit unit that is supposed to review the control systems and procedures that they have, and suggest or improve them in a way that it becomes literally impossible for someone to embezzle funds or to, go about transactions in a manner that, infringes on the Public Financial Management Act, And when this fails in these institutions, the Auditor General's report comes in at the end of the year, supposed to clean, and make sure that we bring these issues up and then the corrective actions are taken. So hopefully, we'll be able to, distinguish these issues, and then we'll begin to pick out the right learnings and apply it to our institutions. They are very good standards, and if I may be allowed to say, I haven't seen, for example, the VRA come up in any of these irregularities that are being reported. And it's a state-owned public corporation. It's run by us, Ghanaians, but the systems and the controls that have been implemented, you would very, scarcely, rarely find a situation where VRA will be accused or will be in the news for some of these, major irregularities and, inflections. And again, you could contradict that with, ECG that we are always talking about, and you'll be surprised to find that they're in the same building.
You talk about, yes, they're in the same building. So
literally the same people.
You see, the irregularities we're talking about, ECG, tops it all. Yeah, we're going to put that on the screen right now, because just on the mentioning of ECG, and Prof, I'll come to you before, 15.8 billion out of the lot within the 5-year period that we're talking about. SNET follows, and then the Ministry of Roads and Highways. Prof?
No, but you see, I like the advice and the suggestion that when we are talking about it, we should nuance it so that you don't unnecessarily be hyping, playing on the emotional keyboards of people. But the point must also be made that all these financial irregularities are as a result of misapplication, misappropriation, and embezzlement of funds. All these three, misappropriation, misapplication, and embezzlement, they are all not good. And so if people have done all these things and then they are given a certain figure or projection, we should, I believe, yes, nuance it a little. But the point is that misapplication, misappropriation, embezzlement are not good, or they are all not good. And they all feed into the reportage of the Auditor General. And it's important. I like the fact that Isaac mentions the role of the internal, auditor. And look, these things happen because of the mindset with which people get into public office. I have an internal auditor, okay? And now people are telling me that it appears that my internal auditor is the most powerful person in my organization. And I tell them that I don't mind if I would make him the most powerful person in my organization to save me from going to prison. And what I do is that I do not take any decision that borders on the use of funds without he doing prior of the audit. He looks at us and said, no, this one you can't do it. I said, okay, this one, go ahead. They have gone to do some contract, they want me to pay. I said, internal auditor, don't wait for me to pay before you would audit to find that I did what was wrong. Right. Look at it. Then he goes and said, no, this one didn't go through this process. Go through X, Y, Z. In the process, people are saying, but we are making the internal auditor so powerful. And I said, so what? If you make him powerful so that he will be able to help all of us in saving the nations, some money, what's the big deal about that?
Very important point. And Dr. Zato, you see, we put this picture that captures the problem as it is. We drill down, it tells you specifics of what has contributed to the bigger picture. We're having to deal with this now. President is talking about the establishment of some specialized courts, which Dr. Yao Demelovo is quite passionate about. But why does this keep happening on a yearly basis?
Thank you. To do this, you need to take a little bit a step back and try to understand something small about the history of Ghana and also about the state-owned enterprises. Most of these that you are seeing are owned by SOE, state-owned enterprises. At independence, and in fact, even before independence, the colonial government established state-owned enterprises as instruments for looting the state, as instruments for effective looting of the states. So they were established in areas where, one, they can either give the colonial government comfort when it comes to water and electricity, or to be used to exploit gold, cocoa, and other things. So right from the onset, from their creation is that when Nkrumah came in, Nkrumah saw SOEs with dual tax. Dual competing task. SOEs, according to Nkrumah, had a commercial value for money, and then they also had a nation-building role, nation-building tool. That's a political rule. Right. So he wanted to achieve both at the same time using SOEs. That is why he established them all over the place. And sometimes, immediately independence, SOEs became the only symbol of governance or government in the region. And he used what became known as patronage appointments to reward his political friends and to want people to run these SOEs. That is why when you hear the things, when you hear the expression, grade 1 or standard 1 and other levers, those were the people who were managing it, because at that time, there was also a human resource deficiency in the country. Right. So you see that the mismanagement also of this started there. Oh, they were fast-tracked to 1983 when Ghana went to the 10, when General Rawlings regime, finally, with all their socialists and socialists, turned right, political right, and went to the IMF or the World Bank for the structural adjustment program and the economic recovery program. The main driver, the main issue, economic issues that drove them there was the indebtedness of the state-owned enterprises. They were one of the biggest things leading them. That is why, coming out of it, the recommendations, a lot of them included privatization, that sell this and start privatize them. That is what then started the right. That is why sometimes you can argue that John Rawlings started from the political left, but by the time it became right, because most of the reforms, privatization, divestitures that happened in Ghana happened under him. And since then, we have not yet been able to deal with this problem of how to effectively balance the economic, financial objectives of SOEs with their social, political, nation-building objectives. What has then happened is that all of a sudden we've tried to use them more for their destiny, hoping and trying to just wish away their debt. That is what has led us here today. Now, you juxtapose that with currently what we have with some of the poor management. I say poor management because it happens to all the regimes. Today, there are CEOs who have been in office for 8-10 years. I don't know whether your board is ready, yes, Prof. Yes, who don't have board of directors. The CEOs who are 8 years. Now, think was how...
You mean 8 months?
Sorry, 8 months, yeah. Without a board of director. Now, the board is supposed to guide you, direct you, and approve almost all the things you do. So these men and women are working before the board. So by the time the board comes in, the CEO and his people know everything more than you. Now they are waiting for you to approve things, and before you realize, you're just coming to just approve things. It doesn't help with the corporate governance of SOEs when it's done, because the right thing should have been that a board comes in, then the CEO comes, then the board approves you. We've done that for reasons because it's political, and you cannot let somebody sit for that long. So that is one area we have to look at to make sure that we do the appointment right. The second thing is that politically, every member of a political party thinks that they have a birthright to a job or a position in an SOE. My party has come to power. Prof has been appointed as CEO, so I must go there. He must give me a job. And sometimes it becomes so powerful that the amount of pressure they put on these CEOs, if you don't do it, then they are making you look like, when we're working, where were you? When we're suffering, where were you? So that culture too has to be kept, because if we don't do that, we are turning these SOEs into milking cows. Then we can go to the third part. I'm saying that you have to look at it through all these structures. You can now go to the third part of what they are managing. In Ghana, there's a certain culture. When you are a public servant and you steal, we just laugh it away. We say everybody chop for their work side. The high-profile corruption cases that we give to are politicians. If you're a politician, that one day we should cut off your head. But we tend to malign, marginalize, trivialize corruption of public servants. We tend to sometimes even give them a free ride. And that also contributes to a lot of this. Look, you can see that somebody can come to you, ask for a job. You help the person get a job with one of the state agencies. Now the person is complaining about where he's been transferred to, where he's going to work. Oh, this place there is dry, nothing there to job. Meanwhile, what do you mean nothing there to go to job? It is the same salary, same conditions. What the person is telling you that, send me to a place where I can steal. Tell me somewhere I can get some loot. We need to deal with that. Okay. Now, after all these things that you see, so there's a lot to be done. And my friend, Professor Michael Pesa-White, who is the Director General of the SIGA, has a lot to do. He's doing a lot. He has a lot to do to make sure that accountability, transparency, and answerability within this SOEs is respected. He has a lot to do to make sure then that they are held accountable to do this. But there's one thing that you then come down to what the president is saying. I support the president of the republic. I can see his tendency to want to say, Mr. President, yeah, you can't do that. You don't have the power to do that. The courts will do that. Temper it small. But the courts, yes, establish all of them. Establish those courts. And I want to see the Black Maria. You know, the police have the Black Maria. Whenever they are doing the Public Accounts Committee, I want them to park a Black Maria outside there. So that when you come and you finish your turn and we say that we just put you there, drive you to court. Not to prison, to court. I think they should go to court first. But I think that the state should also put up a proposal for retrieval of these funds. So if it is VRA and we said that you've spent more than this, the state should say, repay all the money, one.
No, but is there no proposal for retrieval?
So far, the processes are
so Yadama will answer that.
So far, that's what I'm saying. If it's like operational, one. If it is 6.9 billion, one, pay all the 6.9 billion. Two, pay interest. We could say interest of 20% on it. Three, if you were the chief director, we will reduce your rank to manager. I'm saying that if you put these three things in place so that those who can pay back the money with the interest pay, because sometimes they can clog the judicial system or get very smart lawyers, drag the case until your friend comes in, who is a new attorney general, he gives you a knowledge prosecute. We don't want that. If they can pay, let them pay with interest, then they go. It means at least the state has to do the money. The USA, you personally, imagine you are chief director, now you are being reduced. If we put these punitive measures there, imprisonment, retrieval of funds, reduction in rank, and then if we also empower the SIGA a lot, we can begin to see the rank. I can tell you, whenever the government of Ghana goes to the IMF for a bailout, check. A large percentage is because of the debt carried by SOEs. Okay. And we don't need to do that. We need to be very strong and inclusive, deal with these issues. If not, we will always be doing this merry-round.
So what's been fueling this on a yearly basis? And that's where I want to come to you on. Daniel Yademelovo is on, so...
I think, Alfred, our cultural settings is one of it. I mean, in a country where the moment you have a position and you go to any program, they expect you to give more beyond your salaries is part of it. So we need to look at our cultural settings. But I also believe that beyond not having boards, there are state-owned institutions that have boards, yet the people still. People are criminal by nature. You understand? we are thieves by nature. There are people who did not have boards.
What do you mean by people are thieves by nature?
That is what is being shown, the figures that you are producing yearly. They are stealing from us. Don't let them use any words to confuse you. There is irregularities. What they have stolen from us? Look, Richard Asare, an 18-year-old JHS student, last year, December, was imprisoned in Tutu in a Kwapem. What did he do? He stole only a goat. And his reason for stealing the goat was that he is an orphan and needed money to go and buy books. So he had to steal a goat. He ended up in his salon for 6 months. Only a day or two, Comfort Nchua in Akimoda went and stole groceries worth 1,384 cedis. Comfort is now in prison, has been sentenced to prison with hard labor. Mauli Agwenya, in 2023, stole a goat in Jasikan, got himself in prison. Kwabena Bukari in Agugu stole a goat in 2013, and he was sentenced to. What is this business of people stealing billions? And I can tell you, the value or the cost of a goat is not more than 1,000 cedis. People are stealing less than 1,000 cedis, and they are finding themselves in prisons. Here we are, people stealing billions. The last time I was watching the ECG, and their executives explaining how...
At the Public Accounts Committee.
I couldn't believe it, that after the program or after the engagement, they will still go back to their families and enjoy.
They refer them to the auditor, the Attorney General.
Jeez, now they are referring. That is what the matter is. Immediately after that, there should have been a way of getting them to be answering to the police. Start the process right from there. I am just coming from the Kolebu emergency unit. Go and see what is happening there. Total chaos. People are not getting beds to sleep on. I'm just coming from 5 regional tour. And go and see how deplorable are Rosa. And there is a correlation between underdevelopment and how much is being stolen from us. So there is no doubt that people are stealing from us. But because we encourage them year in and year out, what we do is that we put cameras on them. They go to the Public Accounts Committee, speak all the big grammar, and then everyone forgets about it. So I support the president in total that there has to be a way of dealing with these people. Once you're able to do that. But the point is that who watches the watchman? Are those people that are supposed to prosecute these civil servants themselves not caught on tape accepting goats and so on and so forth?
Not all of them.
Some of them, anyway.
Right.
So that is where the matter is. But there is no doubt that our money year in and year out continues to drain into people's pockets, and we don't get the benefits of it. And that until we look carefully at the people we select into our public service and civil service, we cannot make any hay. And it's not only just about the public service, even the unions. Have you heard what is happening with Closac? The Closac executives, former executives, are accusing current executives of stealing from their accounts, and that they are in court with it. So if unions are even being accused, union executives are being accused of stealing from the people, how much more the entire? It is these individuals in these unions that are working in the various public spaces, in the various civil service, in the various SOEs, and if their leadership are being accused of stealing their small unions, how much more the larger bodies?
You see, when you humanize the problem, that's where the concern is. Yes.
What we saw recently at the Public Accounts Committee, where somebody was supposed to have been somebody who had long departed to eternity, was supposed to have had his name on the payroll.
Right.
And then the Public Accounts Committee chair asked, I think, those who were supposed to have done what was right but didn't do, and asked, did you know that this person is dead? He said yes. Did you attend the funeral? He said yes. So why have you kept the person's name on the payroll for all this while? And then somebody, I mean, recently, this matter is yet to go to court, but the National Service matter, you posting yourself as a service person, and then being paid when you are not a service person. And I'm asking myself, but didn't you know that there will be a day of reckoning? Didn't you know that you'll be caught? And that's what I mean by the fact that, look, if you stole from the nation, it was wrong. But if you did it in a manner that was also insulting to the mood and sensibility and intelligence of the people, it must attract a harsher punishment. Because the way and manner things have been now, it's like, as for me, I'm doing it. They cannot do. They will not be able to find out, and I will never be brought to book. And I'm saying that kind of attitude is very, very, very bad, and it's very, very, very disappointing to see people that we have given role to and trusted the role of the state to into their care, and then they're now telling us that, excuse my language, but we are all fools.
Daniel Yardemelevo is a former Auditor General of the Republic of Ghana. He's joining us via Zoom as well. Daniel, can you hear us? Good morning.
Good morning to you and your panel.
You see, when you humanize this situation, you understand why incensed and angry people are watching on a yearly basis what happens at the Public Accounts Committee. Is it the case that there aren't enough deterrent measures to, as it were, deter people from getting involved in these acts of corruption, essentially, that leads to the loss of hard-earned money or state resources, which we say we don't have enough of? That's why the president is recommending that something more needs to be done to deter public officers from dipping their hands into state coffers.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with that position. I think there is not sufficient deterrence to stop or prevent people from abusing public funds. One of your panelists actually made a passionate appeal or position on people stealing goat, which is about 1,000 Ghana cedis or maybe maximum 1,005 Ghana cedis. They are expeditiously tried and jailed. In fact, if we gather the statistics of people who steal goat in a year and compare to those who steal public funds in the millions, I think the public funds will be more. But we are not angry towards them enough. And I have said time and again that because there is not sufficient deterrence or consequences for wrongdoing, people keep doing. So let me say that the action being taken by the president is very commendable. It's good that we have dedicated or specialized courts that will handle these infractions that the Auditor General brings out each year or from time to time. Let me be quick to explain that the Auditor General uses that term, irregularities, not because that is the word that the Auditor General would have preferred, but it is a constitutional injunction. If you read Article 1875, Clause 5 of Article 187, it says Auditor General should bring to the attention of Parliament irregularities. That's why we talk about irregularities. But if you peruse the report, you see that the irregularities have been broken down to those which involve wrongful procurement or procurement-related cash management, stealing of stores, and etc. So those breakdowns have been done. So come back to the court, the special courts being set up by the president. I have said it, and I'll repeat that it's a very good initiative, and it will help us. However, the court per se will not change things. We need to do other things. That is, are they going to operate with the same laws and the same rules and procedures? Are we going to still allow trial of these crimes, which normally people like to say embezzlement, misappropriation, so that people don't even associate them with any criminality? Are we going to allow these crimes to be tried over so long a time that we pray there's a change in government? I have proposed that there is the need for a legislation to bring a closure to each type of crime, said that the judges must be given time frame within which they should finish trying cases. Of course, lawyers would like to defeat that. So we must be smarter than the lawyers by coming out with a law which prohibits stay of proceedings. You can't stay proceedings. The proceedings must continue to an end. And a judge who goes beyond the time limit must be held accountable for misconduct, so that cases of this nature will be tried expeditiously. But that is not all. Apart from that, the courts must be dedicated exclusively for these offenses. If they are going to be trying land litigation, armed robbery, divorce cases, and etc., the judge will now have to decide which case I would pay attention to. So if these are specialized courts, they should be devoted to trying these financial irregularities. I saw about 824 or so members, lawyers joined the bar this year. We can recruit several of them on even part-time basis so that these trials can go fast. We don't need to build new courts. When the judge in the existing court closes at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever time he closes, a new judge can come and sit in there. So we use the 24-hour economy that we are talking about. So that is very important. Another thing which we must do so to benefit from these special courts is change this need to prove beyond reasonable doubt that even though Daniel earns only 20,000 Ghana cedis a month and has been in office for 2 months, so he should have been making something about 480,000, but he has 20 million in his accounts. Now the law requires the prosecutor or the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable that he stole that 20 million. No, once we can establish beyond reasonable doubt that this money is in your possession or it belongs to you, then the onus should shift to you, reverse burden. You should not owe it a duty to explain to us how you got 20 million into your account, even though your salary per month is only 20,000. If we don't do this reverse burden, proving beyond reasonable doubt that the gentleman or the lady has stolen money is going to be very difficult. And I've always argued that corruption-related cases, corruption, financial crime, and etc., or economic crime related cases are very difficult to prove, unlike the other crimes. If there is a murder, at times somebody may be sitting somewhere watching how it happened, or there may be some other form of evidence, and society would like to come together to testify against that murderer. If there is theft, at times you steal the thing, they see you holding it, and you are coming out of the house. So there are evidence, but when it comes to financial crime or these economic related crimes, they are first committed in secrecy. They are committed by very intelligent persons, people who are very intelligent, said that they can wipe the audit trail, etc. So reverse burden will be very necessary. Someone was talking about internal auditor. Prof, I salute you for that, for elevating your internal auditor as a control for you. In fact, we say internal auditing is the control over all the controls. That is, they have the statutory duty to ensure that all the controls are working as expected, so that money will be used for the intended purposes and in line with the regulations. So we must change or amend the Internal Audit Act. Prof, being a good man, would like to use his internal auditor as a check on himself. Many spending officers or principal spending officers will not allow that. So we need to amend the law, take the internal auditors out of the domain or control of the principal spending officer, which is the best practice internationally, so that they can be a good check, because they are in there before the Auditor General commences his audit. The expenditure will have been incurred several months, if not years ago. So the internal auditor is there timely to at times not even recover, but to prevent the occurrence of that wrongful act. So I would like to conclude here by saying I commend the president for that initiative, and I commend the Chief Justice and all those who are involved there. However, there is the need that we change some rules. And again, let me end by saying that going to Public Accounts Committee, from my point of view, is a waste of time, because most of the times they even go in there and they don't show any bit of remorse to say that maybe I did something wrong even. You find them smiling at us to show to people that now they are on TV. So I think the Constitution enjoins the Auditor General under Clause 7 of Article 187 that in the performance of his functions, whenever he comes across any item of expenditure or spending, which is contrary to law, he should disallow and surcharge the persons or the person involved. This, I think, must be done and done properly. If you permit me, let me read or quote what the Supreme Court have to say in Occupy Ghana versus Attorney General on that.
Yeah. But before you make that quote, you know, you've said a couple of things which I want to drill a bit more into. If you say that a public sector officer or an employee, we know how much he earns, 20,000, and yet the person is living a certain lifestyle, owns a certain number of properties, and has a certain amount of money in his or her account that is not consistent with what the person is supposed to be earning every month. If there is a lifestyle audit, why should it be difficult for us to be able to detect any act of corruption? Because you say it will be difficult sometimes to detect if a public officer is engaged in corruption. Why is that?
You see, under the laws of Ghana or the criminal proceedings laws of Ghana, you must prove beyond reasonable doubt that the person committed the act you are complaining about. That, I don't know if you remember, we found some amounts of money were found in the house of Honorable Cecilia Adapa, if you remember.
Yes.
You hear the Venerable Okujeto saying that no law prohibits having such amount of money in your house. You must prove that she got it wrongly. And in court, that is going to be the argument. If the argument is going to be that, yes, even though I have 2 million in my account, does that mean I'm a thief? Show me how I stole it. What did I do? And the evidence, you will not get that evidence. That is why in many jurisdictions, including Britain and several in even Africa, they have passed that law that we can do a lifestyle audit to match your expenditure, your spending, not only your asset. At times we talk about asset, your spending, which includes your capital expenditure, which is your asset, plus your recurrent expenditure, how you organize funerals and birthdays, etc. We put them together and match all these expenditures against your known sources of income, gift or otherwise, and tell you that, look, when the two there's mismatch, there is no way you can make this amount of money out of the known sources of income. So show us. And if you are not able to show it, then there's a presumption of guilt. And I must say that even in Ghana, I argue that there is a provision under Article 286(4), which says that between your first declaration of assets and liabilities and the subsequent one, if the growth in wealth does not match your known sources of income, gift, or etc., then it is presumed that you acquired those assets contrary to the Constitution. I think we can expand on that and come out with a law to make it explicit or very clear to the court that when it comes to this type of economic or corruption-related cases, once it can be established that Daniel has that 20 million in his account, and Daniel is unable to tell us where he got it from, then the law presumes that Daniel is a thief and must be dealt with accordingly. That's the point I'm making there.
I see. And for those of you joining us also, we're on 3FM 92.7. We've moved beyond poll tracker for those of you who have been watching. And then also we're live on the Voice of London Radio in the heart of the city of London. We'll segue into the next conversation, which is on this public sector corruption, a very, very concerning one. Dr. Zato, before you come in, because we have a lawyer.
Oh, you didn't allow me to talk about the Occupy Ghana versus Attorney General.
No, you're going to come to that. No, you will. You will. You'll come to it. I need you to read that because I have it as well on page 35 and 36 of that judgment.
Great.
I'll take a look at that. But private legal practitioner Isaac Ejuri is with us. That point that Daniel Domelovo makes about the burden of proof in criminal cases that must be beyond reasonable doubt, so that even though there's a lifestyle audit that would then prove that this person, a public sector employee or an officer, minister, CEO of an SOE earns, say, 50,000, but the person has billions running through their account over a period. A lifestyle audit is done. A certain amount of property is ascribed to the person. It's not enough to impugn corruption. If we're going to deal with, in his view, we're going to get serious with the fight against corruption, we must look at this differently when it comes to public sector corruption. Yeah. Is it one that you support from the legal perspective?
Okay, so really reverse burden has come up a lot in conversations around anti-corruption and also in money laundering across the world. You see in certain European countries, as you mentioned, Germany, Italy, and the likes, they have, very limited elements of, reversed burden, where an accused person will have to, prove that assets or expenses that he's made are not from illegitimate sources. The resources he's possessed are not. Now, it's important to understand that when one is standing criminal trial, we have the republic. There's a reason why we have republic versus that person, right? It's the whole state apparatus that is coming against this person. And so the law seeks to have a balance, right? And so when we say that, okay, the state is the one, all state apparatus bringing to bear on this one individual group of people for having, committed a crime against the state has the power, it has the resources, it has the abilities to be able to prove that crime that they are claiming that this person has committed. And that is why, as a matter of legal position, just of balancing the weight between the parties involved, let's say that you say that this person has done this, you have all the resources of the country to follow and prove that this person has indeed done that. It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of difficulty, but if you lift that entirely off the state, we could see the chaos that could immediately happen, where anyone who is probably not liked, anyone who is probably, someone doesn't like your, prof's, public commentary and stuff, the next day they pick prof and prof is in court, and you have to, prove to the courts and to the republic that, that small baby Benz that you have, you didn't steal the money, and that's it can easily denigrate into chaos, where state power could be used against, individuals, and typically we say individuals are powerless against the state. The state machinery is so huge, and so you should do the hard work, of, really establishing that this person has done that. There are instances where once the state has, adduced evidence, to prove certain level, the onus then shifts to you, the accused, to, push back and demonstrate that the state is actually wrong or that they got that thing wrong, But to just, reverse burden generally, and to say that we think that the way you walk around, the way you dress, the cars you drive, you are living beyond your means, and so therefore we put you to court to come and answer to why you have the things you have. It could be a bit of a challenge, in terms of how you want to build a country.
That's good. A very, very important point there.
Look, if you just why is everybody saying that let's fast track these issues? Why is everybody saying that let's put speed into these issues? Why is everybody saying let's go use some
specialized court, yes,
on this? Why? It becomes obsessive because everybody is afraid of a nolle prosequa. Of late, people have seen how nolle prosequas have been abused and misused and have been used as tools to give sweetheart deals to political friends. And so what is happening? People are afraid that, hey, just look at this 7 nolle prosecuors giving out. So people are now afraid that if you also wait, and maybe these people also delay their trial, in 2028 or 2022, when there's a change of government, then they will also get nolle prosecuors. So the renewed love for fast is because of nolle prosecuors. And I think that nolle prosecuors have been abused and misused. If you take a calculator and calculate all the money that the 7 cases have lost. Just do a simple calculation of the money that the state alleged. And then you also take a calculator and look at the amount of money that this, you will see that they are almost the same or similar. So the question is that we flush down this amount of, let's say, $1 billion through knowledge prosecutors, and now we are chasing $1 billion through prosecution. So that is what people. So, and I'm happy that you said it. We should not tinker with the fundamental human rights of people and their presumptions of innocence and guilt beyond reasonable doubt, just because we have gamed the legal system to benefit political friends. It has happened in the NPP, it has happened in the NDC. We've gamed the system. That is not the problem of the individual being charged. Look, to put it a little bluntly, we are 38 million people, Ghanaians, right? If it's the Republic versus you, it is 38 million people against you alone. Just look at the raw numbers. The state has everything. They have the military, they have the state intelligence, domestic intelligence, international intelligence, collaboration with the FBI. We've seen all these things. What is expensive? You, the individual, you cannot do that. You, the individual, you cannot write to the FBI to say, FBI, help me, give me this evidence to defend myself. OSP can do that, Attorney General can do that.
Okay.
You, the individual, cannot write to the CIA, FBI, all this, but the state can do that. So we should not tinker with these fundamental rights. Because we have failed, or we have been lazy, or we have been unwilling to punish people who have committed crimes because of other interests, including political partisan considerations. We should do that. But we can strengthen the existing infrastructure. We can make the existing infrastructure work. If we don't have enough lawyers at the Attorney General Department, recruit them and pay them equivalent private sector monies so that they can go. Okay. If we don't have this, then let's do that. Because there's a story told in this country that there was a politician, or there were some politicians who were sent to jail because they have a big stomach, or were sent to jail because, they look some way. Nowadays, if they do that, all of us sitting down here will go to jail.
No, apart from me.
So that they will face. So my point is that if, because it was believed that because he stole money, he was eating well, had a big, today we see that it's so please, let's not tinker with those rights, but we can inform the system to make sure we do it.
I just wanted, because part of the program is also aimed at educating the people, I want to find out from the lawyer, what are the basis for filing nolle prosequi? The way Zato projects it creates an impression as if it is a bad thing. If it is bad, it is bad. But are there basis? Are there no basis? My view is that, look, I'm a lawyer. I think I don't like you, so I try to manufacture some issues or cases or evidence against you. I take you to court and I have no basis. And I drag you through that public persecution, for a long time, and I don't have much basis, and power changes hands, and another party comes, they look at the facts of the matter, and they feel that, look, there was no basis for you to even subject that person through the process, then nolle prosequi may be activated. But this is what I know from an uninformed, position. I just want you to educate, the people of Ghana. What is the basis? Are there justification? Are there no justification? Under what circumstances and conditions would a nolle prosequi be filed?
Daniel Demolovo wants to comment very quickly.
Okay. But I'm asking the lawyer.
Yes, Mr. Demolovo.
Thank you very much for the opportunity again. I heard Dr. Zato talking about 32 million Ghanaians coming heavily against one person. I beg to differ, Doc. Ghana is less than half the population of UK. Ghana is about half the population of France. They all have that law. I don't think the state in Ghana is so powerful more than that of the United Kingdom. And even if you come to Africa, there are several countries in Africa who have passed that law. One thing that might have escaped you is that those who steal public funds, those corrupt officers, they are very powerful. They are equally powerful. They are not people who you can easily run over, because they get very astute lawyers who can stand on their feet 24/7, and they can even procure the prosecutors and even the judges, etc. So don't underrate that individual we are talking about. It's only if you have got yourself involved in investigations, you will have seen that proving beyond reasonable doubt is a very tall order, especially in crimes such as economic one and corruption-related one. So I want to tell you that the point I want to make is this.
we all have the evidence. And of course, you came out with an example which is extreme. That is because your stomach is big or because you are
without thinking about whether the person is suffering from hepatitis.
I don't think that is what we are talking about. We are talking about what cannot be reasonable.
Overzealous
So
prosecutor who may go down that path. You can have an overzealous prosecutor who may go down that path. I'm just saying it's possible.
Right. No, he's thinking about himself. Hold on the point. Gentlemen, hold on. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Damalova.
So I, for one, if I can offer you this a challenge. I, for one, am ready to go through a lifestyle audit or unexplained wealth audit to prove to you. So if you have held public office and you have not stolen money, you should have traces of how you got your money and you can explain it. This should not be too much difficult. And remember, if we say unexplained wealth, it's not that they're just 1 peso or 1 cedi above your income. Normally, we look at a margin. That is why I gave example that your salary is maybe 20,000 per month. At the end of the year, we expect that you will have earned something in the region of maybe 480,000. But you have 20 million in your accounts. If you don't prove to us that you stick lotto and you got it, etc., you know that the guy, then that means it's unexplainable wealth. Do you know that a guy with 20 million can easily give 2 million to the police officer investigating or to the judge, etc., and run away with the money? So please, we are talking about a crime which is not against an individual. We are talking about crimes which affect all of us, our roads, our hospitals, our schools, our future. So we should not allow individuals to become so powerful. If you hear some of the monies being mentioned, you believe it. That an individual has taken so much money. National service, they are talking about the Auditor General. I stand to be corrected if the figure is not correct. But it's 2-point-something billion. If that figure is correct, can you imagine? It's mind-boggling. And you think in that situation, we must be able to go and prove that, Mr. A, we saw you signing this check and you removed it from here and there and there. So the evidence, that is the process of crime, should be enough for prosecution at times, especially when the offense affects all of us. It's not an individual. Thank you.
Well, so you still stand by that point that going before the Public Accounts Committee is a waste of time?
Exactly. Why I said that?
Why?
Is because as far back as 2017, the Supreme Court helped us by coming out with a ruling in Occupy Ghana versus Attorney General. And in that ruling, they said, and I quote, that the true and proper interpretation of Article 187, 7B1 of the Constitution is that the Auditor General is bound, not may. He said the Auditor General is bound to issue a disallowance or surcharge where there has been any item of expenditure on behalf of the government that is contrary to law. It went on and also said the true and proper interpretation of the Article 187, 7B II, the first one is I, so now II of the Constitution, the Auditor General again is bound to issue disallowance and surcharge where any person fails to bring any sum into the government's accounts. That is the discount or whatever you get in the course of transacting business on behalf of government, you pocket it. Then the third one, they said the true and proper interpretation of Article 1877 BIII of the Constitution is that the Auditor General is bound to issue disallowance and surcharge where government suffers or incurs a loss or deficiency through the negligence or misconduct of any person. If you can grant me the latitude, the consequential orders they granted...
before you move on, if you could just drop the screen down a bit for me, because I'm losing your image. Mr. Damalova. Yes. Yes. Perfect. Now, just conclude on that point you're making.
After those pronouncements, the Supreme Court issued consequential orders. And they said in that consequential orders, as a sequel to our judgment just delivered, we further direct, henceforth, the Auditor General shall take steps to recover the amount unlawfully expended from a person or persons who incurred or authorized the disallowed expenditure. I won't bore you with the second one. Let me go to the third one. The third one, it says, the Auditor General shall take steps to recover the value of the loss or deficiency from the person or persons by whose negligence or misconduct the loss or deficiencies were incurred. Then they put into bracket whether or not the person is a public servant. Then finally, this is where I'm happy what the president is doing. Finally, they directed the attention to the Attorney General. They said, finally, the Attorney General is also hereby ordered to take all necessary steps to enforce the decisions or steps taken by the Auditor General Supra to ensure compliance, including, in some cases, criminal prosecution. So if Auditor General becomes minded to dutifully disallow and surcharge, an Attorney General comes in, activating his mandate under Article 88 for civil as well as criminal prosecution, I think we will go very far.
I see.
Thank you.
But then, if all of this is in the judgment, why is the Auditor General not surcharging?
That beats my mind, my brother. And I think if you go to clause 2 of the Constitution, it makes it even worse that when Supreme Court do this type of interpretation and give guidance and you don't comply with it, you have committed high crime.
So the
I think the Auditor General is committing high crime, but we are looking on. And high crime, you know the consequence. There is nothing like a fine. It's a custodial sentence. So if the Auditor General will not obey the Supreme Court, then I think he must be taken on for committing high crime. I hope he is listening to me. He should hurry up with all the disallowances and surcharges so that we don't get there, because it's not good to continuously bastardize that office. I pray that we don't do that to him.
Mr. Domolevo, I know you and the Auditor General, you talk. I quite remember in the case that was involving the University of Ghana, and I spoke to you and said you are talking with the Auditor General, and I know you have a certain relationship. So are you not telling him about this high crime that you are talking about here?
Even last week we talked. And he assured me that he's going to do the disallowances and surcharge of the national service. This, and I said, look, you have issued this beautiful report. The Constitution says that in the course of doing that, come out with disallowance and surcharge. And he said he is in the process. So I'm thinking that he's waking up.
I see.
So very soon we will start seeing disallowances and surcharges if he meant what he told me.
I see. But you see, Solo, and this is what if the law empowers the Auditor General to surcharge, disallow, as one of the means of deterrence, and he's not doing so, which is, Mr. Domolevo has identified, one of the fueling factors in this acts of corruption that we're seeing in the public sector, then what should be done?
So, Alfred, one of the things that Mr. Domolevo failed to tell you is that the levels of corruption within the Auditor General itself is amazing. It's mind-blowing. That office itself, who watches the watchman? They go and take bribes. I know people, look, you see, when you mince words, you come here and sugarcoat it. Then we are always taking it back. He knows it. If you like, call him. People are sent outside to this country to go and audit our missions abroad. Go and find out from them. Go and find out what they go there to do. They go read their reports as if it's a template, always the same report. Yet they are stealing from us.
But do you have proof for this?
More than. You see, look, this gentleman, the second accused in Hanan's case, you know the buffer stock, one Richard Asante. This gentleman has stolen from us and is hiding in London. I'm coming.
How are you able to? So you see,
I'm going to show the pharmacies that you own in this country. You see, you don't want the truth.
Wait.
You don't want it.
Before you make a statement of stealing, it must have been, as Mr. Domolevo indicated, proven beyond reasonable doubt. It's not one that you sit on the table. No, wait. It's not that one that you sit on the table to pronounce.
The Attorney General,
we have to disassociate ourselves
don't
from
let us play with semantics.
No. I understand.
Let me explain myself.
But we have to.
If you don't let me explain myself, then it means you will be putting words in my mouth. The Attorney General is in court. there is nowhere in his writ that he has written that allegedly stealing. He said stealing.
But that is it has to prove beyond reasonable
But
doubt.
that is for the Attorney General. The Attorney General is
the
representing
burden
the
of
people of
proof
this
is on
country.
him. That's what I'm saying.
No, that was
I
not
understand.
I am paying the Attorney General. The Attorney General is paid for my pocket. Now he's supposed to work for me, you and I. He is saying that Hanan and Co have stolen from us. Why do you expect me to come and sit there and say allegedly?
Well, you see, there's a difference.
What's the difference?
Let me tell you. So wait.
Yes.
You see, what the Attorney General has done.
Yes.
In going to court.
Yes.
To have these charges slapped on these persons.
Yes.
The burden of proof is on him.
Yes.
Right? To prove beyond reasonable doubt.
Absolutely, if he's unable to prove that, it's a matter.
That's what I'm saying. That if you come here
Yes.
and you say it without proving beyond reasonable doubt, which I don't have the capacity to determine.
Alfred, the man is in
That's
court.
all I'm saying.
A writ is a public document.
Make your point.
What he's telling the entire country is that Mr. So and so has stolen. I'm saying that the second accused in this matter, who is alleged, that it is Asante, who is alleged, who is hiding in London. I know what he did with the money, and I'm going to send it to the Attorney General.
Going to send it to the Attorney General.
Absolutely. So you see, we must not be dilly-dallying. Those that are supposed to fish out the corrupt officials, they themselves are involved in corruption. And that is why I like the angle of Prof, that if all chief executives are going to do that, we will be saved. Because he is using the internal control auditor to save himself and that of the country. Prof can decide not to engage him and yet engage these auditor general's representatives and then do business with them. And I can tell you, they will write the best of reports. And so this lifestyle audit, it must happen. It ought to happen. Right. It cannot just be that we know the salaries of people in this country and all of a sudden they are living in mansions. And nobody questions them. We are okay with it. When they go to church, they are given the high table. The pastors are for it. When they go to the mosque, they are given the best seats to sit on. The imams are for it. When they go to the shrines or visit the shrines that have taste, they are even giving them welcoming address. So it means that the whole system is corrupt. So we need men and women of integrity to be occupying our public space and not go in the directions of this is my party member, employ the party person. Why must we do that to ourselves? And I don't believe in that. We must hit them. From here, the office of the Attorney General, I'll come to you. I'm going to show you that Richard Asante's properties, what you use the looted funds of the state to do, so that we recover them for the state. It's very, very important.
All right.
Very important.
So, Mr. Nemolovo, I'll give you a minute with the intervention you want to make, because Alfred Appiah is going to go into the National Service Authority, the forensic audit, which also uncovers a new level of what we already know. Yes, Mr. Level.
Yeah, thank you very much. Solomon, I like the passion with which you are approaching this fight against corruption. But I would only like to plead with you that do not generalize it too much, especially when you don't have the evidence. I am not saying that the Ghana Audit Service is made up of angels and saints. Definitely there may be bad nuts. And we have that all over. In fact, I don't even know whether within your own team there are no corrupt people. There are more corrupt. But then until we have the evidence, it is bad to say that the auditors are also corrupt. If you say even some of them are corrupt, I have no problem with you. So I just want you to be a bit charitable in the way you go about it.
You see, you are right.
Okay, thank you. Well, gentlemen,
some of them are corrupt, but it's only one bad nut that spoils all of it. So the audit service,
okay,
and that is what I'm describing.
You made your point.
Highly
Isaac,
corrupt.
you wanted to come in quickly, very quickly, so that
highly corrupt.
I need to get into the NSA forensic audit. Yes, quick one.
I mean, just quickly to address Prof. Jampo's question about Nolly Prosequa. Just briefly, it's just really at the discretion of the Attorney General. And the idea is that the state is no longer interested in the case. So even in court, they are not required to give a reason. And the idea behind it is that we are using state resources to prosecute a case. It may be for cost-benefit reasons. They feel like this is not a case they can secure a conviction for. They think maybe, as you rightly said, the basis of the case was maybe not too solid substantively, and therefore the state, or it could just be political. The state is just not interested, and he has that power to enter that. You know,
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. You see, Mr. Demolovo, you referenced this Auditor General's forensic audit because the Attorney General indicated that this forensic audit that uncovered more rot in this National Service Authority scandal, increasing it from a little over 500 million to 2.2 billion, was actually conducted by the Auditor General. Let's hear from the Attorney General, and I'll show you portions of it. Alfred will come in a bit. Take a look at this.
Prosecutions have commenced in the SkyTrain and National Service scandals. In the case of the latter, we have filed charges against the former Chief Executive, Executive Director, Osea Sibe-Ntwi, and his deputy, Gifty Owari. Charges are being prepared against the rest of the public officers and the so-called marketplace vendors. In all, we intend to file about 10 cases in the NSA scandal and will use some of the public officers and vendors as prosecution witnesses. Now, this is a strategy that is working very well for us, and we intend to continue to use that strategy. In a situation where there is a small criminal among big criminals, and the small criminal knows a lot, it is better as a matter of prosecutorial strategy to use a small criminal to get the information in order to be able to succeed, and that is what I'm doing. Also, I wish to announce that the Auditor General has conducted a forensic audit into the NSA, the National Service scandal, and the total amount of money stolen or illegally spent now stands at 2.2 billion, and not the 548 million that was uncovered by my investigators as at June 2025. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I have here a copy of the Auditor General's report. Again, painstaking investigation is very important in criminal matters. And so, based upon what the Auditor General has done, and this is a forensic audit, okay? Forensic audit means that they've gone beyond what ordinary, auditing would have done. And so, we are going to, based upon this, in some cases, change the charge, amend our charge sheets in order to bring fresh charges.
That is the Auditor General right there. And to indicate that if we are all incensed about even what the ordinary audit reveals, there's a forensic audit that was done. In fact, this is actually a subject of a court proceeding as we speak. This week, Osea Sibe-Ntwi, the former Director General of the National Service Authority, was granted 800 million cedis bail. And this is why. We'll show you. The payroll review of this forensic audit revealed repeated high-value payments to Sibe-Ntwi, a former director of the National Service Authority. It goes on and on. It says he was registered as a volunteer under the ID you see there. Though officially posted to Greater Accra, records falsely placed him at Komeu Farms. And then he held an e-switch card, received 516,000 cedis monthly as a volunteer between 2023 and 2024, totaling a little over 8.25 million Ghana cedis. Komeu Farms has 50 volunteers, each separately paid through their own e-switch cards. Alfred, what more did you find? Let's flip to the next slide you have there. What more did you find in this forensic audit? Alfred.
Yeah, thanks, Alfred. I want to, of course, start by saying that we are only analyzing what has been reported by the Auditor General, right? And any criminal issues we know are still in court and they've not been tested yet. So we're not making any proclamations, but we're just, analyzing what the Auditor General has done. And so the audit period covered 2018 to 2024, right? And I think in order for us to understand the findings, I think it's important to understand sort of the processes that the National Service Authority goes through in terms of getting people into service, right? So there is enrollment, and this is important because we'll talk about where the control weaknesses were found or where the system was intentionally, according to the auditors, bypassed, right? So there is enrollment. This is where the tertiary institutions would upload the list of graduating students or people that are eligible for national service, get uploaded into this system, which is the Central Service Management Portal, the technology that the National Service was using. And then as part of that enrollment, there's some manual enrollment that can also be done as part of that process. The interesting thing is when you look at the technology, there's so many controls that are built into it, at least on paper, right? And so that begs the question about the technology and how we're trying to use technology in the name of digitalization that we've been pursuing. But there's technology, and then there's also governance issues, right? And I think a lot of the times we focus a lot on the technology, but the technology doesn't itself address the governance issues that we have, right? So the enrollment part, that's the starting point. People, universities or the tertiary institutions will upload the list. Then there is the posting.
Yeah.
In the posting stage, there's also system-based posting, right? So some people will just be automatically placed. There might be people that are on a protocol list. Some people are requested specifically. There might be user agencies, for example, that would request certain personnel. Like I did my national service at the University of Ghana, for example, and so somebody my department would have to make a request and those kinds of things. So there is that, but then there's also overrides. There's also the manual part of the posting, right? And that's important because that was where the issues were, right? The manual process is supposed to be sort of like for exceptional cases, right? But as I'll show later, or the audits showed later, you will see that it actually became the norm. So after the posting, then there is what is the validation. So in the validation stage, it's actually very interesting when you read the audit report because there's so many levels of controls that are built into it. There's like validation at the district manager level. There's validation at the regional level. Like there's so many layers of approval that is supposed to help and make this process robust, right? There's biometric verification that's supposed to happen. So after all that validation is done, then there's the processing of the payroll. And then people actually get paid. So the payroll processing includes building the master list of people that are supposed to be paid, and then sending the list to the Ghana interbank payment system, right? That's basically for financial verification, and then people are paid through eSwitch or Ghana Pay. So when you look at the process, right?
Yeah. I want us to look at the detail as we have it.
The whole idea of digitalizing the process was supposed to basically remove some of these manual things and build a robust process. But that did not happen, of course. So as the Auditor General found, the total infractions or the total irregularities was actually 2.45 billion. So it's actually about 200 million more than what the Attorney General said. Yeah, 2.45 billion according to the audit report. And when you look at the breakdown, 1 billion of that, just over 1 billion of that is payment exceeding 13 months. So in the national service, you are posted for 12 months, right? And then there's a convention of like an additional month of payment to help you with your transportation to go back home or whatever, right? So any payments should it be the maximum number of payment that somebody should get is 13, right? We have 1.1 billion cedis worth of payment that is beyond 13 months. And you will see that later that there's some people got even paid, or some people supposedly got paid for 70 months. I don't know how you would explain that. I talked about those validations. So when you look at the audit report, there is 989 million cedis of payments that went through without any biometric, any of those validation things that I talked about. There's things around like unsupported payment to NSP vendors, bank account transactions that are not accounted for, and then also some of the unsupported payment to volunteers. So I sort of wanted to go through each of them a little bit for us to understand a little bit more. So with this table shows a breakdown, right, of the number of payment. Remember I said 13 months is the maximum. So there is 110,000 national service personnel that were paid between 14 and 19 times. The amount corresponding to that is about 882 million Ghana cedis. So I don't know how you would be able to explain this, that people that are supposed to be paid at a maximum of 13 times, Some are even getting paid 70 times, right? So obviously there's an issue. And part of this is, then this is where the auditor also put a caveat that there might be instances where there might be some justifications. I don't know anybody that is doing national service, over maybe 10 years or so many years to be receiving that many payments. But those justifications, of course, will be things that would have to be proved in court. The other thing that I think is interesting is the payments without validation. So remember, I talked about those levels of validation that are supposed to happen. Right. So there's validation upon assumption of duty. And then each month that a person is working, there's supposed to be a validation. And then finally, once they're done service, there's also a validation that happens. Right. So many layers of validation. But when you look at the service years, and it's interesting, when you look at 2021 and 2022, it was even very significant that none of these transactions or none of these payments were to people that have gone through the established levels of validation. There wasn't a single validation that had happened. So obviously the implication here, or the effect here, is that you're getting into the issue of ghost names, right? Because if people are not getting validated, how are we paying them? Especially when you look at the robust process that has been put in place. Then the other one is the use of manual posting. So remember, I mentioned in the beginning about the postings are supposed to be, most of them are supposed to be automatic, and that the protocol and the manual override postings are supposed to be like the exceptions, right? But when you look at this chart, over the 8-year period, over the 7-year period, at least in this case, manual posting became the norm. And the reason this is important is because once you're doing manual posting, right, basically, who knows what you are introducing into the system, right? Which additional people are you introducing into the system? Because the whole idea of having somebody go through all the processes from enrollment to posting through the payroll validation and all of that is to be able to make sure that the controls that have been built into the technology are working. So that if somebody has not been biometrically verified, for example, they are not going to get paid, right? So manual posting became the norm. And then also the uploads. Remember in the beginning, the enrollment, I talked about the upload. So when you look at the first 4 years, it was very high, like, vast majority of basically almost 100% where they were using the automated process for uploading people into the system. But when you look at it over time, 2023, only 15% of the uploads were going through the process. So people are intentionally sidestepping the system that has been put in place to make sure that we automate these things and reduce the risk of fraud. Because again, the thing with fraud and all of this is like, it depends on what controls you've been put in place to mitigate some of those risks. And in this case, people intentionally were bypassing the system. So I think you already talked about the former national service boss. We talked about the fact that I don't want to go over the slide. He was getting 516 cedis, 516,000 cedis every month for being a volunteer. Even though where he was posted was different from where he was supposed to be. And then we also know about the deputy executive director. I think she gets more attention than the main boss. But anyways, she also got posted to a school, actually a primary school somewhere in Tamale, when she was still the deputy executive director. So she had taken a course at KNUST, and so she was there. And one of the interesting things is that her PIN was approved by Mustafa Yusuf, who was the former executive director, but also appointed as sports minister. And the auditors found something interesting so he was appointed as sports minister on January 12th. And when you look into the records, he was sworn in I think on early March or something like that. But then he approved the point, according to the records, he approved the PIN on April 22nd. So when he was minister, maybe how was he able to approve? So there's things that need to be done.
Right.
But I think
I wanted to hold on to that point. And Solo, I'll bring you in because of the deputy and then the former deputy director general and the director general himself, and those 2 points about their enrollment as national service person. Because Tiwari received her full, according to this forensic audit, received their full allowances, and then also the former Director General received his full allowances, and in fact, he was put on a monthly allowance of 516,000 cedis per month between 2023 and 2024, totaling 8,256,000 Ghana cedis. How, if there are controls, as Alfred just displayed, to detect this? They went past the controls, nothing was done. They had to take a forensic audit to uncover this rot that we're seeing based on what the Auditor General put out there.
So, Alfred, the forensic audit puts the entire figure at 2.4 billion. Let viewers understand. And that 2.4 billion is able to establish 6 banks in this country. You will need only 400 million Ghana cedis to establish a bank in this country. What it means is that the actions and inactions of Asibe and Gift Owari has caused this country or denied this country the opportunity of establishing 6 banks that could have employed a lot of the youth in this country. And that is why the youth in this country, whether you are in the MPP or you are NDC or you are in the United Party or everywhere, must be angry. Because a lot of them have finished schools and they are home, not getting jobs to do. Why are they not getting jobs? Money that could have been used to expand the economy are in the pockets of these people. And I can tell you that the auditors will classify these as irregularities. When they are pure thievery, stealing, you say we shouldn't use that. Let the people know that they are stolen.
That has to be proven in court eventually.
That has to be what? Well, they will be in court and have their day, but at the end, all those that end up in Isawam, it starts as allegations. That's the case.
And then eventually proven.
Absolutely.
It has to be proven.
So, we were told in this country that the National Service had developed an app called Metri App. Remember that? Yes. And that was told by Zato's boss, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, that app alone was able to, as it were, take out 44,000 ghost names. And as he described it, ghosts do not have fingers, they do not have thumbs, they do not have this, they cannot, as it were, plug to be registered as National Service personnel. So on what basis that in spite of this huge investment in this app, we still had these ghost names and we still had SCB and even Owari. Now the revelation by, I've forgotten the gentleman's name, the one that's giving us the statistics.
Alfred Appiah.
Alfred Appiah, sorry for not reminding him early, is that Gifty's pin was approved by who?
The former
Mustafa Yusuf.
Yes.
I have been saying, I don't know why the name is missing from those that are being prosecuted. He not just the National Service. Remember the All Africa Games, the 30th edition.
That is also one of the issues the
as for
Attorney
that
General
place,
is investigating.
it's worse. The 30th edition is worse. That they use $16 million to renovate. And I'm very happy that we have 2 lecturers here. Elizabeth said, Liman and then Kwapon. These hostels are already habitable. Students are living. When some of us went there to check what exactly they did, they had only procured or bought air conditioners. How can air conditioners or air conditioners for these 3 halls cost this country $16 million? Tax. Journalists, when you go for programs, these your papers. They told that they expended $3.6 million. When I checked the Olympic Games in Paris, for the entire world, it costed less than 750,000 euros. But small All Africa Games, not even all the countries attended. They said 3.6 million. Food, the last time I was talking about this, someone was making noise. Food alone, Wache and Bessie, Fufu, Banku, even the athletes that came from other countries, they don't even know how to eat the fufu and banku. They expended $15 million. $15 million. Now you go to Takwa, the TMA or the Goldfish constructed a brand new stadium, fresh from the scratch. They expended only $14 million, almost $14 million. The Lagos Sports Stadium was about 84% completed or complete. Yet we were told that to finish it, they expended $34 million to do that. How can we do this to ourselves? How? And so the issues of corruption is endemic. It's within the DNA. And you need that robust Rambo-style way of dealing with it and establishing some levels of new culture of doing business in the public sector. Else, we are not going anywhere. And so we must deal with it and not look at faces. If we are going to look at faces, we will not get anywhere. And that must also be a cause of concern that the former finance minister is not back to town.
Well, it's the next issue. Dr. Lato, you see, the concern here is even what the forensic audit has uncovered. Is one that goes beyond what the Auditor General, that's the Attorney General put out earlier. Yeah. His direction is that there are some recommendations in here that have to be implemented. Even though there were controls, as this forensic audit by the Auditor General review, all of this happened. That's concerning, to say the least.
Alfred, I must say that when I look at these figures, the numbers being bantered around, if you just add national service and buffer stock, you are looking at almost 3 or 4 billion cedis. When I look at those figures, I'm scandalized. I am scandalized because these two institutions, one, take national service, is there to serve very vulnerable people. Anybody who has ever done national service understands. You come out of school, you are vulnerable. You have no, especially those who are not living in their hometowns. All of a sudden, you have to pay rent, pay food, pay transport. And some of them sometimes go 3, 4, 5 months without the distance. So this is an agency that was supposed to serve very vulnerable people. So if you take money from very vulnerable people, it's a big issue. Take buffer stock. Last year, the NPP could not even use free HSS to campaign because the food had gone bad or was not there. There was no food. The vulnerable people, the people, free HSS is also a poverty eradication tool. Some of us, we ate the best food when we were in school. So if you deny children, poor children, vulnerable children food, in that sense, it's also an... So for me, that's what I'm saying, that these figures, these numbers scandalize me. But then it then brings us back to where I started from. If you look at the total amount of money within this national service and this, but still it's about 4 billion. Let's just say 4 billion that the state is trying to go after. Huge amount. I did some very rudimentary math, somebody did, to look at about 7 cases of the nolle prosequi. You see, Saglemi, no, I want to no, this point important. Saglemi the case is about 3 billion. Dr. Kwabena Dufour about 5 billion. And Thompson is about 99 million. I'm saying, I just want to make this point. If you add the total amount of money in these cases together, it comes up to something close to about what? 10 billion Ghana cedis. So that was the amount of money flushed to the toilet through a nolle prosequi. So you now have the state of Ghana throw away $10 billion through sweetheart nolle prosequi deals, but now it's chasing about $4 billion. Do you understand the logic? Doesn't that infuriate you? Doesn't that annoy you?
Does that negate?
It doesn't. I'm not saying negate. Never. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when you begin to look at it, just ask yourself, we could have chased this people, and even imagine we didn't even get the whole money with the nolle and we go half. Imagine you told these people, pay the money and go free. We will have more money than we are chasing now. So who does that? You take the 10 billion that if you could have had, throw it away through a political sweetheart deal, and now you're now going, you are chasing this. You may not even get this $4 billion, or you may get all of it. Even if you get all of this. So my point is that the nolle prosequi is not the problem. It is how nolle prosequi is used or misused or abused. It is when you use nolle prosequi to reward only your friends and you associate your political friends. That is when it means you are weaponizing the nolle prosequi to achieve and service political, personal, parochial interests. That is the problem of nolle prosequi. But its existence as a tool for the state, I don't question that. Because sometimes as a nation, you need it to do certain things. Sometimes you use nolle prosequi to conduct national diplomacy. So my point is that, look, so when if you watching us, if you are outraged by all these figures being thrown about, you should equally be outraged by the nolle prosequi that flash out this amount of money. Those two things are important. If you are only outraged by these figures, then it means that you too are playing to the partisanship that has led us to where. We are here because of partisanship. And the reason why these internal controls don't work is partisanship. And so let's do that. Let's be outraged and let's say that don't do that again. That what happened with this thing was wrong. It should never happen again. And I want to come to something quickly to end with the buffer stock. I'm interested in the buffer stock these days. I'm very happy. The government yesterday or the course of the week announced something. It's very important that the cabinet has approved to release 100 million cedis to buy food. Talk that. If you go to Sisala, if you go to Salawa, if you go to where the best maize in Ghana is produced, there are people with thousands of bags of maize in warehouses they cannot sell because the price is so low. And not only that, they don't have people to buy. So now the thing is that the crop in the field is about to come down home. Okay. So you now have a farmer who has his warehouse is full, but there's crop on the field. It is encourages investment in farming and the youth in great farming. So thank you, Mr. Government, for this money. And I pray and hope that the Minister of Finance will actually release it. And when it happens, please, Mr. Bufferstock, go. Start in Tumu first. Start in Wallingham. Start in Charlotte. Start in Sakai. Go to Tumu first. Go to Saleh. Go to buy the food. Give the point. And there was a farm gate money promise of 450 Ghana cedis for a bag of maize. Because currently, bag of maize, if you have it, you can't get it. Okay. So let them do that and go buy this. And so once that happens, you buy the old stock before the new stock comes. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Cabinet, for this. Mr. Finance Minister, go ahead, follow and do it so that the farmers will get it. Because some farmers are threatening to protest the Farmers' Day celebration because, and these are some of the reasons. So please, thank you. Yeah.
Quick one. What Zato is saying, I think the solution rather must be for this government not to, as it will do away with the one district, one factory. This is not sustainable. That one district, one factory, no matter its challenges, must be brought back so that it takes care of these raw materials, because food, what do you call it, produce from agriculture serves as raw materials for industries to thrive in these areas. That is the only way we can be sustainable, and not to do away with that policy. It's very important that the government restores the 1D, 1F.
So thank you. I agree with Solomon.
No,
it was a policy that was brought by MPP, and you like it. Thank you very much. And your boss is on it. You want to give credit to Allah, not MPP. Thank you. It was MPP manifesto.
I'll come to you. I just wanted an analysis. I deliberately asked you to give us your view, a little more education about the justification or the essence of nolle prosequi. And from what you said, okay, number one, you are telling us that the AG is not bound to give reasons for filing it, okay? But then you went out to also speak to some of the possible reasonings why they may be filed. And so for me, it is not too accurate to make an argument that projects or perceives the use of nolle prosequi only for the wrong reasons. Okay, there may be good reasons for using it. And so I want Zato you have to situate your argument in a manner that looks at all the sides. Okay, you are now insinuating or making the point that it was nolle prosequi that was used as a basis to, I don't want to use the expression that you use, because it's early in the morning, but as it were, to deliberately discontinue certain cases purely for partisan reasons. But how about the argument he raised that there may have been a cost-benefit analysis? How about the argument he raised that there may have been other factors that that made it unworthy to pursue, a certain course of action because it may not even inure to the benefit? So I want us to look at, the totality of the picture in our analysis. Otherwise, then why should nolle prosequi, if it is not relevant, if it is not good, then it should not be in our our statute book or in our pursuit for, some of these courses of action. So let us nuance it well. I believe that, look, if things are to be done, if we have to fight corruption, we have to look at all facets, all angles, okay? But the moment put your hand down. When we are talking about
you made your point.
For the users.
Yes.
You remember the Delta
was
Force issue?
Exactly.
When they forcibly entered a court, these Delta Force guys in Kumasi forcibly entered the court and changed the judge. It was President Akufo-Addo through his the justice minister,
right,
Warrior Kufu, that he should have not possibly freed those people.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Now, I'm saying that we use. I'm not saying.
Hold on. Your microphones are off.
The problem is not knowledge.
Thank you very much.
The problem is how it is used.
You're not being heard. So
let me. He was strong.
Professor Jambo,
I'm trying to.
Make your point.
I'm trying to say that we cannot. You see, we cannot. Given that, like you educated us, given that the AG is not bound to tell us his reason, we cannot forcibly impute bad reasoning and bad judgment and excessive partisanship to the reasoning for filing, to his reasoning for filing no prosecutor for all cases. We cannot do that. Okay, but I would go for an argument that says that, look, let us go after every corrupt, individual. Let us drag it. Let us pursue it. And when we get to that point where we realize that, look, it's amounting to romancing a stone, and so we cannot go on that tangent, you come and brief, Ghanaians. But let us not sit here and judge every filing of nolle prosequi as being bad, because the man is not even here to tell you the reason, and he's not bound to do so. And the fact that he's not bound to give you reasoning does not mean that you must, by all means, interpret bad judgment or bad reasoning to it. That's what you sought to do, and I thought it was.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Dr. Zato, your phone is. Thank you.
Quickly say that you're right. The nolle prosequi we have under the AG Attorney General's dispensation is strictly a political tool, right? So he uses it according to his discretion and how he wants it. And of course, the Republic will have commentaries and deductions that will be made about it. A more forward-looking at the OSP's Act, the OSP, the Special Prosecutor, also has the power to, file nolle prosequi. But his law required that he has to give a reason. So that's a more forward-looking way of looking at it. Otherwise, politicians will always be politicians. They'll take the decisions.
We should look at amending
the forward-looking approach is what he said. Okay, thank you.
Politicians have used it, abused it, and misused it.
About the OSP and Mr. Damalovo, you wanted to make a quick point on this national service matter and the forensic audit that you referenced earlier. Now, it will lead us into the SML conversation. But just a quick one on this, the NSA, the forensic audit that has been done, even though I see the Auditor General in this forensic audit indicate clearly that there were a number of controls, including the digitized system, the apps that were put in there, it was never able to stop these acts that we saw cost the nation, based on what this report is saying, over 2.2 billion cedis.
Thank you very much. As for the controls, they are built into almost all softwares. If you take the national payroll, if you take the what you call the integrated financial management system, the IFMIS or GIFMIS, if you take the national service one, almost every payroll or software come with controls. However, these controls many times are compromised. And it is said that no internal control can withstand collusion. When people decide to come together to beat the internal control, it will be beaten. It doesn't matter how robust the software is. So I think that is what has happened. And that is the reason why we always talk about the soft control, which is disciplinary measures to deter people from violating or removing those controls. That is the reason why I am happy that the Attorney General has come in. If we are able to pursue the disallowance and surcharge, said that we can recover these monies through civil procedure, which is allowed by Article 88 of the Constitution, and again do criminal prosecution because of the criminal acts that have been alleged, I think it will be good. We must not as a country be aiming at only incarcerating people. We must look at how to recover the money, and not only the amount stolen, a surcharge, which means it comes with a penalty or a punishment. You take 10 million, we collect 15 or 20 million from you. So if we're able to do that and collect the money, and again, take the people through criminal prosecution, I think it is good. I said this example, which is an extreme, but I like it. The former minister of Agric in China was found guilty of collecting bribes and doing some dubious things to the tune of about 38 million. The trial took less than 4 months. It was about 3 months and some few days. And he was done what? Sentenced to death. But of course, with reprieve, to say that, look, you have 2 years to live. If you don't want us to execute you, then you don't only hand over the 38 million, but plus all your assets. I think we should start making our laws should start making corruption unattractive. Unlike what Dr. Zato would like to say, I think that corruption has dealt too much dirty blow to Ghana, said that it is time for us also to revenge. If we don't do that, corruption is becoming too attractive to our public office holders. I use public office holders. I don't use politicians because I know politicians are corrupt. Public servants are also corrupt. So these public office holders must be held accountable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel Yademelovo. Stay with me, because what you just said on the measure of accountability leads us into the SML conversation. Strategic Mobilization Limited. The special prosecutor this week gave an update on his work, the extensive investigation that has been conducted into SML, and then also his announcement of charging Ken Ofori-Atta and some 5 others by the end of this month. Take a listen to the special prosecutor. I'll tell you the people, and then Solo, you come in before Mr. Develovo. Let's hear that.
Seeing that PP had not responded to the second GRA application 6 weeks after the request was transmitted, and the powerful behind the curtain chief promoter, patron, and sponsor of SMEL, Mr. Ofori-Atta, was insistent on pushing the company into revenue assurance space through Mr. Inti. Mr. Inti repeated the second application by GRA to PPA for the sole sourcing of SMEL and Ghana Link by a letter dated 14 September 2017, which was almost word for word with the 1 August 2017 request. PPA certainly had had enough by this time, and it responded by a letter dated 29 September 2017 and rejected the second repeated GRA request. PPA forcefully stated that SMEL has still not shown any proven capacity in terms of experience and provision of similar assignments intended to be undertaken under the proposed joint venture agreement with Ghana Link. PPA also noted that the relationship between SMEL and Ghana Link did not provide the needed joint capacity to undertake the assignment, since SMEL would not be responsible for the bulk of the assignment by GRA's requirements.
That's the special prosecutor. So these are the 6 people that he says he will charge by the end of the month. Put that on the screen. Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister, whom the special prosecutor describes as the mastermind, the brain behind this entire SML deal. Ernest Akore, chef de cabinet to Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta as Minister of State, that's the Minister of Finance. Emmanuel Kofi Nti, former Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Reverend Amishadai Owusu Amoa, former Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, and you should take note of all the others, all the positions they held in the GRA. And that's also another area to look at. Isaac Krentil is a former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority. He is the General Manager of the SML, but he was a former Commissioner of the GRA. Kojo Damoa, also a former Commissioner of Customs of the Ghana Revenue Authority, and he's currently the Member of Parliament for the German South constituency. These are the 6 people, and you heard the special prosecutor's verdict on this, that essentially there was no reason why this deal should have even gone through and the monies that were paid. He says he's pursuing, Solo, the SML to recover some 125 million cedis that the company has to pay to the state because of all this.
That is not enough. The OSP must have the deal. They themselves know they have stolen from us and they must bring it. You see?
They will have to.
No, the OSP has to have the game.
Why? What do you mean?
He said they themselves.
The SML, those that have been accused, they know that monies are missing. You understand? Because the point is that Ken Oforiatta, as the former finance minister, has run away from the country. Nobody does anything good and runs away. This is a land of his mouth.
He went for medical attention.
When was the last time you had a briefing on it that the Mayo Clinic is saying that it's going to recover in October or December? They have stopped briefing us. Nobody is briefing us again. My difficulty with the SMD, and I've said it on public countless occasions, that if you look at how MP operates with the ERDMS, that's the Enterprise Relational Database Management System, how it is linked to the ICOMS, nobody born under the sun can convince me that we needed another entity called revenue assurance. Now, indeed, if you go back and check the documentary that was done by Manas Azuri, this morning I took my time to watch it back, and you listen to Christy Sochi, the general manager, I don't know whether he said the manager of SML. Clearly, you could see that the company, the stated objectives of the company was not what they were pursuing. One, they said they were going in for what? To discover underreporting, diversion, and dilution. When he was posed the question, are you involved? I said, no, we are not into that. We are not into diversion, we are not into underreporting, we are not into dilution. So if you are not into underreporting, on what basis were you assuring us of any revenue? On what basis? Now, if you know the petroleum sector very well, the point that you can actually estimate how much tax is due the state is, what do you call it, the sales point, the pumps, where we all buy fuel. Once again, when they were asked, where do you, as it were, place your meters, they say at the depot. At the depot, who establishes how much is paid to the state? Because at the depot, it has not been sold to the general public. So for me, this whole thing comes back to what we have been doing, like what we did in the Kenny GVG, the system, the telecommunications sector was not having any problems, but someone had to chop. So they had to create a system there in the name of revenue assurance. You go to the NITA, smart infrastructure. Someone has to create something there. Then at the end of the day, we lose out on some of these things. When Soti again was asked, have you been able to save this country of 3 billion? He said, no, we have not saved anything. We have not saved this country, any such amount. And that he has nothing to do with the website. A general manager of a company tells us that he does not even know how much they charge the state. Yes, so what was he managing? And that is my difficulty with this transaction. So if the Office of the Special Prosecutor is saying that he's closing in on, we are here. Though I don't believe that anything will come out of it. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Why do you say you don't believe anything? He's indicated he's going to charge.
He has been indicated since what? He's going to charge.
He's done extensive investigation.
Between 2018 till date, we have expended close to $1 billion on that office. How much have you recovered from that office? Even when we saw millions of dollars under the bed of Cecilia Dapa, that matter turned into beans.
How do you say it's turned into beans?
Cecilia Dapa, the money was physical.
But that case is not dead. It's an active case.
Oh, it is dead. When we asked Cecilia Dapa where they got the money, we heard Admochi tell us that the brother died and the funeral was so big that they could rake in that money. We have been in this country where people have told us this.
This is an active case in court.
Which one?
So why are you saying it's dead?
Oh, when was the last I heard anything about it?
The fact that we don't have update doesn't mean the case.
So the point is that I don't have any trust or confidence in this OSP and the office. At best, that office must be scrapped. With this budgetary allocation given to the Attorney General, if the Attorney General is unable to recruit more lawyers, by virtue of that, he could recruit more qualified lawyers to help the state. And rather than what we are doing, Small time when we push him small on Ken Ofori-Atta, the next thing you hear is press conference. Just to come and weather the storm. Then you go and sit back like a man. When you hear that there's pressure, then you can. When all of us know that Ken Ofori-Atta must be in this country. We are talking about the national cathedral. How much did he spend? We are talking about PDS. How much did he spend there? Well, he has borrowed. He led this country to borrow $13.5 billion. You understand? The man says he won't come back to the country. The last time we heard something from him was through the wife that the husband was doing okay and that he was going to come. So what are we doing? Well, so please.
She said he was walking gingerly and was recovering. After the surgery.
The man is very fit. When you get to Washington, he's chilling everywhere.
Have you seen him?
I saw a beautiful picture of him. He has not denied. None of his lawyers have denied. When this matter started, his lawyers started issuing letters every day. They were giving a daily update.
No, but if you make a emphatic statement that he's somewhere chilling.
As we are speaking, he's watching us through a pseudo account. Must come home.
How do you know this? How do you know
he must come home and let us deal with ourselves.
Martin Pebu is a private legal practitioner. He's joining us on. In fact, he's been watching you right from the get-go of this program, and he's joining us on Zoom today because he had to attend to other equally important issues outside of the jurisdiction. Counsel, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Morning, Mr. Ocansey.
Well, you are one of those who believe that this trial in absentia must start. Solomon Owusu says Ken Ofori-Atta must come back in person for this whole process to start. Counsel.
No. Mr. Owusu, I vehemently disagree with you. You see, yes, I understand the accountability you want. That's in-person accountability. Ofori-Atta should come himself. Yes. Thankfully for us, there are a number of cases against him. There are 6, right? Mm-hmm. So we can eventually do the other one.
Counsel, if you could move into the middle for me in a bit. Thank you. No, the other side. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, Mr. Osu, the key thing we have to watch is that right now, we've not been able to freeze Mr. Ofori-Atta's assets. And so it means that as we are talking right now, it's even possible that he's signing agreements to sell the shares in Data Bank, the shares in Enterprise Insurance, the many assets he has. That is where our target should be. So we need this case to enter court quickly. And just before we enter, the law allows OSP to freeze the assets. And then after about 2 weeks, go back into court and get a longer duration for the freezing of the assets. So this is very key. Very, very key. And that's how I've been saying that Kissi Ejabin has been very, very incompetent on this Ofori-Atta case. You know, the man has many assets in Ghana. Manasseh did this work for 1 year, December 2022 to December 2023. When Manasseh presented a petition to the OSP, Manasseh and then Aziamo Mensah and then Adobia, the other lady, 3 journalists. So this petition against Ofori-Atta was presented December 2023. So by December 2024, OSP had this petition for 1 year. 1 year. And OSP sat on his hands, pussyfooting, kukwasa, so much so that now we believe this is criminal negligence. Criminal negligence. How could you have had a petition for 1 year before the elections, all right, or just after the election? The petition was presented in December 2023. So please, even if it's not before 7th December, look, it doesn't matter, right? December is December. We can say 1 year, right? Mm-hmm. Then OSP sat on this petition. It's criminal negligence, almost suggesting of collusion between OSP and Ofori-Atta. It's almost, there's suspicion. It's suspicion of collusion because you can't have this petition for 1 year and not invite Ofori-Atta and then allow Ofori-Atta to travel after the handing over twice. How? That's what I'm saying. This Kissi Ejabin and the OSP will have to pay dearly for this kind of dereliction of duty, this kind of criminal negligence. How? 1 year. Now, the key thing we need to emphasize is this. We all know Manasseh's pedigree. Manasseh took 1 year to do investigations. 1 year, that's December 2022 to December 2023. So it's Kisia Jabin and the rest of OSP telling us that they couldn't rely a bit on Manasseh's investigations. That's one. Then number two, even KPMG, who were appointed in January, 2nd January 2024. They also did their this an audit, the forensic audit, etc. Right? And then they even sought extension. But long story short, by March, they were done. March, April, they were done. So Kisi is saying that all this while, he couldn't learn from the Manasseh investigation, couldn't learn from the KPMG investigation, and he took all the time in this world. And even is proud to tell us that as of the time Ofori-Atta was leaving Ghana, in January was any case against him. Mr. Ocansey,
yes,
these beggars believe that as of January 2021, when Ofori-Atta was leaving this country, he did not know that there was any case against him. You see why the suspicion of collusion, how even a baby in Ghana would know that Ofori-Atta and President Kufuor would be the first people to answer questions once there is a change in government.
On that suspicion of
and
collusion.
And his OS,
on that suspicion.
sorry, yes,
I can't stay on that part because Daniel Domelevo is on the other line as well. Lamasigbebo, stay on that part because on that path of collusion, Mr. Domelevo, you hear the special prosecutor talk about what SML was brought in to do, what was not done, the persons who have to answer. And now the president has taken a decision. In fact, there was just one component of the entire SML GRA agreement or the contract that was still running because after the KPMG audit, a number of them were suspended. But it was just one of them that was still running, which the president has just issued a statement yesterday asking that that be terminated. The OSP says by the end of the month of November, these persons will be charged. Lamatic people, in fact, he's not the only one who thinks this way, that at this point, the OSP has done what has to be done, but it's probably too little too late because Ken Ofori-Atta is out of the jurisdiction. And it will be difficult if we have to go through the process of extradition to have him come and answer in person, as some are clamoring for. Mr. Nemelovo, what's your take on this?
The whole SML deal is one of the examples of create, loot, and share.
Create, loot, and share.
Clearly, yes, create, loot, and share. Clearly, SML did not have even the competence or the capacity to do the revenue assurance that they were talking about. Remember the rejections that the PPA has to do not once, twice or so, which led to even the change of the company's name and then imposing them on NetBlue, or I've forgotten the name of the other company. So I think the whole thing is something else. But you see, apart from that wrong procurement process that happened in SML, I also think, and I expressed opinion those days, that engaging of KPMG was a further misuse of our public funds.
How do you say that?
Because I'm coming. Because KPMG is not a public sector auditor. We have Auditor General who was in existence, and the office is still in existence. KPMG did not have the mandate to be able to disallow and surcharge. If the Auditor General had gone in and saw that procurement rules, etc., or expenditures were contrary to law, they could have disallowed and surcharged, which KPMG could not do. But then the government decided to go through that approach. And at the end of the day, you even see contradictions in KPMG, their own findings. At times, the things they say don't even add up, which makes it very disturbing because in Ghana, we tend to believe in the big four, so-called big four. But mind you, you may be an expert in private sector auditing, but that doesn't make you an expert in public sector auditing. Public sector accounting and auditing are different ball games from the private sector. Even the standards we use, the laws we use, they are all different. But people hear those names and start jumping for them. And I even positioned that KPMG was even procured wrongly. Did they also go through the competitive process? Or they are the only auditing firm that existed? So there are a lot of challenges there. But what disturbs me is that the special prosecutor is going to hold about only 6 people accountable. I thought there should be a lot more people complicit in this. Well, I must first disclose that the list he has brought up even already disturbs me a bit, because the 2 people, what do you call it? Damwa was my classmate. Krenzel was also my classmate. So 2 people there are my classmates.
I see.
And Christian Soti was my boss when he was the accountant general. I was a director in accountant general. But I think that we should open the net a bit wider. I don't think it is only these 6 people who are culpable. Definitely there are chief tax inspectors or directors, etc., who would have also approved or looked aside for all these things to happen. When we don't do that, they always run away with it, and at the end of the day, we don't get our money back. But I cannot agree more with Martin Pebu that the speed with which we are attacking this is as if we like it. If such an infraction has happened and government thought it was not good, because first and foremost, what is the job of GRA? You mean they don't have revenue assurance unit? If they cannot assure revenue, then why are they there? If it is a matter of lack of capacity, it's just a matter of training. Do we have to outsource it to an organization with 0 experience? This is mind-boggling. We don't run any organization like that. It's because Daniel doesn't know how to drive. So you want to engage somebody who doesn't also know how to drive to take over the vehicle. Is that what we do? Don't you teach Daniel how to drive? So I think the speed and the way we are handling these corruption issues leaves a lot to be desired. And if the special prosecutor is going to court, he should go to court. But if he has left out some other people, he should bring them on board, so that we uproot it fully, not just a few people as scapegoats.
Well, you talk about.
I also want to get permission from you.
Yes. Just a quick one. You talk about the speed. He is indicated that he's been meticulous. He knows what he's about. He's gone through a painstaking investigation. He's ready to charge them. That's the modus he's using.
Yes, but it doesn't satisfy us. We are also stakeholders. Some of us have also been involved in serious investigations. You remember that audit that we do is basically an investigation, more or less. So we have done investigation of more complex. This is a very simple case. I think its investigation cannot go on for all these years. So I agree with Martin there that the pace is unnecessarily slow. Mind you, the whole country is supposed to be audited and reported on within 6 months after the end of the financial year. And you are talking about only SML contract, then the speed is too slow. If it is a capacity issue, then he may have to also revisit his capacity. Please, I have to leave you. Thank you.
Indeed, and I thank you very much. Your point is extensively made. I don't think there's really anything left out of what you have said. Martin Pebu was making that point about, that all of the delay and the suspicion that it creates, and what the special prosecutor has come out to say now, and what the way forward will be. In fact, there's been the development of the president issuing that statement for the cancellation of the contract. That's the only remaining component of the GRA SML contract as of yesterday. Gone.
Thank you, man. You see, if you look at this SML thing, and then if you look at Oforiata, and then if you look at OSP, you can come to the conclusion that the OSP seems to be overly zealous when it comes to Oforiata. It looks like there is a personal, what is between them seems to be a little bit personal, and there's a theory floating that as finance minister, Oforiata did not treat the OSP very well. And so because of that, That is because I'm asking a question. When you look at everything saying, the OSP also seems to be engaged in a tunnel vision, a very narrow tunnel vision when it comes to Ofori-Atta. People have said this. His theory seems to be that unless and until he sees Ofori-Atta fully in this country, there's nothing he can do. He makes it look like he has no other tools at his disposal to get justice for this country. But there are other tools. People have done PhDs, defended PhDs on on Zoom and past. Multinational billion-dollar contracts have been signed over Zoom. The United Nations has held hearings, special hearings, legal hearings on Zoom. Why is the OSP not even anticipating or not even thinking about alternative means of bringing this man to justice except the man comes here fiscally? Why is he looking for that particular habeas corpus? Why? Why can't he say that, look, why can't he send a crack team of investigators to go to Washington, sit down with this guy and talk to him? Why can't he do that? Why can't he say, let's do over Zoom? My point is that his inability or unwillingness to consider any other means of bringing this man to justice may lead to what we see. Because we are always afraid of null. 1 year is gone. Then you start investigating. Before you realize, you say charge. Now, secondly, how many press conferences do you have to tell us before you charge this guy? How many of them? You held the first one, okay. Why didn't you charge him after that? You held the second one. Why didn't you charge him after that? Then you are holding the third one to tell us you will charge him. Why not charge him before tell us? So that's what I'm saying, that there seems to be an obsession there. But there's a point here about this thing, and I'm saying that I'm not a lawyer. But if you go with these SML things, I can begin to see a defense coming up. One, the argument is that right now is that SML has not done any work. The argument two is that they have not done. Now, there is a letter here from the GRA itself, written to your lawyer, Gary Mako. Yeah. It has been made public. The questions to the GRA was, did SML do the work you said it should do? GRA says, yes, they've done the work. The letter is here. You can read it. You've seen it. So there are two narratives. Did SML do the work? GRA says, yes, they did the work. You are saying they didn't do the work. Now, I'm thinking if I'm a judge and you present these documents to me, that is reasonable doubt right there. That appears to me as reasonable doubt. Because now there's also the KPMG. So now you have KPMG and GRA all seems to be saying that work was done. And now you have OSP saying work is not done. If you present this to a lawyer, I'm not a judge, I'm not saying this, but it looks to me as enough or some amount of grounds for what? Reasonable doubt. Now, when you do this and you now lose a case, you will now come back and say, let's blame the judiciary. My point is that, Mr. OSP, yes, thank you, enough of the talk. If you have something wrong with this guy, why don't you just go ahead and present your case to court and take this? Because I'm saying that I won't believe, look, the lawyers, if you are a lawyer, already have these documents, they're going to go and they're going to ask us questions. Hey, we've done some work. Also, now you can now talk about the amount of work done, amount of payment. But to then say that no work was done when the organization itself is saying that work has been done.
Well, you see, that is what for the courts to prove, and that's why.
I indicate because the GRA themselves say work has been done.
Yes, you said that will obviously be adduced as evidence, okay, as one of the points of defense by the lawyers of all the persons who have been named in this, especially SML, because they have also issued a statement responding to some of the issues that the special prosecutor put out there. So, to the extent that the GRA has written this, OSP says, we've done extensive investigation. He took, in fact, almost 2 hours to give full details of what they have found based on the investigation, what the SML was contracted to do. And in fact, he fed on quite a number of things that Manasseh Azura, who's going to be joining us in a bit, has already put out in the documentary, the investigation that he did. So much of what the OSP said 3 days ago, if you have followed what Manasseh has put out over the period, was not entirely new. That's the GRA position on this. And this is coming from the GRA itself, saying that SML indeed did the work it was contracted for. And I have a copy of that said letter that they wrote, that the clarification, it goes on, they also disclosed that all payments to SML within the stated period were properly documented, with payment schedules complied with, compiled, and reconciled. Counsel, it brings up whether or not this particular position espoused by the OSP takes into consideration or the OSP should be responding again to the GRA's position on this matter because of this latest revelation in the statement or the letter that the GRA has written, which has been made public now. We have a copy of.
Yeah, Mr. Ocansey.
Can you move to the middle a bit for me, please? Yes. I can hear you. Unfortunately, Martin Pebble's connection, we lost him in a bit. We'll try to reconnect with him to get that direct connection. But there was another point that the OSP made as well on what he had found beyond the persons that is going to charge. We'll hear that statement from the OSP, what he said 3 days ago, the other portion of this press conference where he indicated what he has found, and then also the fact that GRA did not actually pay, but they didn't demand some 13 million Ghana cedis in taxes on the SML payments. That is one of the findings that the OSP also put out, uncovering significant tax irregularities in the automatic payments made by the GRA to SML for downstream petroleum audit services. So although they are coming out to make this defense, there's also this portion about the OSP itself implicating the Ghana Revenue Authority for failing to deduct over 13 million cedis in taxes on the SML payments. This is what SML also put out in their statement. On the contract and mandate, they said they were engaged by the GRA to undertake a risk and reward framework that's paid only for verified rewards. Let's move to the next slide. So all payments made were after verification by GRA, and then the systems have delivered measurable results. 20 billion, they say, in verified revenue for the state. Well, that is the account of SML, that they have done the work. 20 billion in verified revenue to the state. GRA also says, well, we corroborate what SML is saying. They've done what we contracted them to do. So where's the issue?
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Yeah. So let's refer. There are some paragraphs in the report where OSP directly answers both GRA and SML. You would find that when SML was taken over from West Blue, for several months, okay, several months in 2019, July, August, September, October, etc., SML did not work. They were still trying to onboard. They were having challenges with West Blue. SML couldn't do their work, and yet they were paid. There are specific paragraphs. Unfortunately for me, I'm using the same phone. Please, I read it. Maybe let those who have read, they will mention the paragraph numbers to you. Okay? After 100. Yes, okay. After 100.
I'm pulling that up now.
Yes. After 140, yeah, from 140, 141 to 150, that area is very rich with material. Let's repeat. You would find that for several months in 2019, when SML was trying to come on board, they did not do any work, and yet Oforiatta wrote to the controller and accountant general to have them paid. So that's when OSP is saying that Oforiatta has questions to answer. Oforiatta has questions to answer. An organization that is still coming on board has not been able to do any work, and you say they should pay them. That's one. Number two, when you look at the paragraphs again, you would find that before SML is paid any money, they are supposed to, one, present a report on the work done. Present a report on the work done. That's what the contract requires. So that same will be verified, and before they are paid, that was not done. So when SML has not presented a report on work done, it does not lie in the mouth of GRA to deceive Ghanaians that SML did the work. Where is the report? And remember, this is not the first time. KPMG also flagged it that they didn't find those reports of work done before they were paid. Then number two, the invoices SML was supposed to invoice. Where are those? Can you hear me, Mr. Ocansey?
I can hear you clearly, sir.
Good. So let's continue. And then you would find that in actual fact, the contract itself is illegal because, you know, Kofi left office on 1st October 2018. 1st October 2018. And yet he signed this contract on the 3rd of October. A public officer who has retired, you've gone home, 1st October. On what authority did Kofi, former commissioner of GRA, sign the letter on the 3rd of October? He had no capacity to sign. So that's an illegal contract. And any money paid under it, ipso facto, illegal. Then let's go to the fourth point. When you watch the Manasseh documentary, Christian Soti, and I'm happy Solomon Owusu referred to it, Christian Soti was asked, and he said they don't do that work. That is what Christian Soti said. They don't do those transaction audit work. He says they don't do it. He is in charge. They don't do it. So at what point did they do any work?
Does it then raise questions about the GRA's letter and the position they've taken that despite the CEO of this same company saying they said work that they were even contracted to do, they don't do, based on the documentary of Manasseh. And the GRA says, well, what we contracted them to do, they have done.
Now, the GRA letter is false because when you watch the Manasseh documentary, please, you will find another GRA employee who said that they don't use the data generated by SML because it's not accurate. Please, watch. You will see a GRA official. He told Manasseh Azure Awuni, and Manasseh is alive. The GRA officer presumably is alive. So I believe by now, OSP would have interviewed the officer. He said that they don't use the data generated by SML. And then let's go further. SML, the director of IT, Mohammed something, I think it's Mohammed or something. Also, let's watch the documentary. You see, he was asked that between the SML equipment and the GRA MPA equipment, which are better? He said the GRA/MPA equipment are better. Their flow meters and those things are not the best. So who is going to use their data? Please, I think we should play the whole of the Manasseh documentary. You see the SML director of IT, the man in charge of those equipment. Manasseh asked him, between your equipment and GRA MPA equipment, which are better? He said GRA MPA. Please, so that seals it. So this letter from GRA, please, who signed it? Who signed the GRA letter?
One moment. It was signed by the head of legal, Freeman Saba, dated October 14, 2025. Lawyer.
Yes, we have questions to answer. Thank you very much that it is not Mr. Sapom, the current head of GRA, who signed it. Thank you. So this Freeman Saba and the people who gave him the information, all of them have to be hauled in to answer questions that they are part of the conspiracy. They are part of the conspiracy because how? Even the KPMG report says that the work was partially delivered. And this is where I disagree with Dr. Zatu. Dr. Zatu, did you read the KPMG report? They said all the work was partially done. They didn't say fully done. Partially. And that's where even the KPMG was supposed to have given us further and better particulars of the partially done work. But at least for me, for now, we've shown that if you read the OSP report, as I said, from paragraph 140 onwards to 157, you would see that SML had not started work when Oforiatta said they should be paid, they must be paid. They must be paid. And then that's the letter to controller, and that was done. That is why Oforiatta has questions to answer. In the same way, in that report, you will find that SML did not have expertise for the upstream petroleum measurement. That one to yet, Oforiatta caused letters to be written to GMPC, etc., extolling the expertise of SML. Those are the reasons why Oforiatta is part of this criminal conspiracy to loot us, to steal, etc. So those who are saying, oh, Oforiatta didn't sign any agreement, Oforiatta is not part, please read the OSP report. You will see how he asked that SML be paid when SML had not done work, how he was causing letters to be written to GMPC, Ministry of Lands and Forestry, and Ministry of Energy. Now, SML, hey, they are more than Maradona, maybe Lionel Messi. They are the best in the field. No, unchallenged, unparalleled, uncontested. All these things were lies. These are the things that helped in getting more this in the upstream contract to be done. Yes, it doesn't matter that we've not yet taken money. In law, it's a criminal intent. So that part, it will be a conspiracy. When you form the crime in your head, all right, and expressed it, that's the crime. It doesn't matter that we've not yet paid for the upstream part of the contract, the consolidated contract. It doesn't matter that we've not yet paid the $100 million a year for the upstream one. No, it doesn't matter. For conspiracy, the moment you plan it, okay, so it leaves your head. It's not just your thoughts, your dreams, but you actuate, you begin to take steps to do it. It doesn't matter that you didn't finally succeed in getting paid. It doesn't matter. Once you took physical steps, and when I say physical, it's not only walking. If with your math on paper, you write, do this, do that, you deceive public officers to give SML a contract in that regard, the conspiracy element is well made out. And so Oforiatta will be answering dearly for this. He and the GRA commissioner, Amishadai Usabwaji, the Reverend
So the 140, the paragraph 140 that you referenced, it says in the OSP reports, first, a clearly dictated without prejudice response was sent to the senior minister by SML in a letter dated 20th April 2020. This letter was copied to the Minister of Finance and the Commissioner General of the GRA. SML sought to distinguish its purported service from ICOM's, and it mounted a defense of its contract by calling up its termination provisions. In fairness to SML on this matter, the senior minister's notification and directive would have come as a very startling surprise of a grave breach of contract. If that were the case, it was SML's own public official promoters, sponsors, and patrons that had kept it in the dark and placed it in that unhappy state of ignorance of the government policy on ICOMs by not serving the 28 September 2018 notice of discontinuation on it. In the letter, SML also requested the senior minister to take a second look at his directive as if it was his singular action to discontinue the services. The OSP did not find any evidence of a response by the senior minister to SML's 20th April 2020 letter. The senior minister probably had no desire to engage in such a pointless debate. In June 2020, the public officials, promoters, sponsors, and patrons of SML decided to act, by which time Reverend Owusu Amoah had fully joined the conspiracy. He had assumed office as the head of GRA on October 1, 2019, and without seeing a single invoice backed by a verified report from SML in respect of the transaction audit, went ahead to do the payment. So, it just goes ahead to buttress the point that you were making earlier. No, just a quick response, because I need to...
What Martin is saying, it actually confirms the point I'm making about the fact that it may be difficult in a criminal case to raise a case with a reasonable doubt. Mm-hmm. You said, Martin, you are saying that we should read the report by the OSP. You're also saying I should read the report by what? KPMG. I agree. So maybe that is what you will use to try to make your case. But then there's another report by GRA itself. Here is what I'm saying, that there's something weird, incoherent, and illogic about what the OSP is saying and what GRA is saying. GRA contracted SML to do work for them. GRA is saying that the work I contracted you, you've done it, and I've paid you. OSP did not contract SML. So on what capacity can OSP say AGF did not do the work? No, but investigate what? I hire you as, let me put it this way, I hire you as my watchman. You come to her, then I say every day you've come to my house. I've seen you in my house, you've come to watch my house, and I've paid you at the end of the month. Now, you are saying that you didn't come to my house. Is it your house? It's my house, and I'm saying yes, come. GRA says we contracted these people to come and do the work.
It's not that simple. Okay?
No, but I'm saying that
you see,
because it's not simple, it is that lack of simplicity that may lead to what inability to establish beyond reasonable doubt.
How is
that's
that?
The point I'm making.
That's why the OSP was clear in his words. He has done extensive investigation.
Does the OSP have the technology to do this work, to do this investigation?
Are you questioning the OSP?
Yes, I'm doing it. I'm questioning everything he said because the point I'm making is that...
competence to do this work?
Pardon?
Their competence to have
conducted... Yes, I'm doing that. Because I'm saying the GRA is more competent to do this work than the GRA, if you ask me. And that is why they went into a contract. And they are saying that we have contracted to do this work. You finished the work. We've paid you this money. Now, I'm saying that if you go with these two reports, which one would you believe? But there's a bigger issue we are not addressing as a country.
Which is what?
And it's this. It's the Milky Way. Something where you have public servants who are in the public sector. They retire today. Tomorrow, they are in the private sector. With all these parties, some of them are working in the military, intelligence, and very sensitive national security and national security. They immediately work when they leave, they go there. In other countries, like the United States, for instance, there's a lot, it even includes senators and secretaries and congressmen. There's a period that is established when you come out to stay home for some time, and then you need to be cleared before you can go to the private sector. So if you're the chief of defense staff of the United States, if you're the CIA director, if you're the FBI director, the state believes that you hold certain sensitive information that should not immediately go to the highest bidder. So when you come out of power, they let you stay home for some time. Then after that, you are vetted and you have to be approved to work for the private sector. We don't do that. So you see that almost all these people were those at the GRA. They just finished and they went and established it. It's a topic we need to have. It's a discussion we need to have going forward. Should we do that? Should we allow them? Because sometimes they are regulators. You are the regulator of this. Then immediately you are done. You can go, you are working for them. None, I don't think we have any law that gives us a place for them to pause, for them to be vetted, for them to go. We should look at it. Because if we don't look at it, it will become one of the easiest ways where this is done. There are things we should do. But for me, when you have contract different reports, some say they've done it, and especially the man who contracted them say they've done the work, and now whatever report we are bringing, it just seems to show that no, I will take the report of the GRA itself over any other report.
See, but you see, we're going to get to this issue about the individuals who the OSP has mentioned in this particular report and their roles, because what you highlight is important about what they were doing in the GRA and what they migrated to do in SML. Professor Jampo, I'll bring you at this point. Unfortunately, I lost Martin Pebu, but he's back on. We'll connect with him. But before that, if you're seeing these bottles on the table, UGL Premier Fresh Natural Mineral Water, it's your own water. So let me just say, it's a premium product of UGL, the commercial subsidiary of the University of Ghana, Legon, the water sourced from natural springs in the Aikuma Enclave, where we strive to maintain its most natural form. So, with its crisp, refreshing taste, UGL Premier Fresh leaves a lasting impression. Bottled water, 500 ml. We also have portable, refreshing dispenser jar, 18.5 liters, a deal for your homes and offices, and the sachet water as well, 500 ml, affordable for everyday hydration. So you can locate UGL Premier Fresh, the depot at the University of Ghana, Liman Hall. Liman Hall. Call them on these numbers. Tell them that you heard me talk about it on Key Point. They'll give you a special package. 056-181-4444. 056-181-4444 or 055-506-0150. 055-506-0150. UGL Premier Fresh Mineral Water, where purity meets refreshment. Also, are you a salaried worker, an SME owner, or a trader in need of quick and reliable financial support? It's time to make your money work for you with Blue loans from Blue Financial Services Ghana Limited. You get fast, flexible, and affordable financing tailored to your needs. No long queues, no stress, just the support you deserve when you need it the most. Call them on 0303 968 196, 0303 968 196 for some more details. Now, I tell you about what Ocean Bells Travel and Tours is bringing to you. Between the 23rd and the 27th of December, this is an exclusive holiday tour of Dubai coming up. Between the 23rd and 27th of December, 4 nights of unforgettable experiences and celebrations, return transfers from Dubai International Airport, desert safari with barbecue dinner and live entertainment on sharing transfer, half-day Dubai city tour on sharing transfer. You have the Marina Door cruise with buffet dinner, live entertainment. I'm talking about the UAE tourist visa as well they'll get for you. Celebrate the upcoming holiday season with unbeatable ticket prices for both domestic and international flights. I'm talking about Ocean Bells Travel and Tour. Go on your Google Play Store or the App Store, download the Ocean Bells app, buy your ticket there for a 10% discount. They have partners with Emirates, Qatar Airlines, Brussels, Turkish, Ethiopian Airlines, Askai, Egypt Air, TAP Portugal, South African Airways, Kenya Airways, Royal Air Maroc, Africa World Airlines, Air Peace Airlines. All of this, you buy their ticket and you get 10% discount from Ocean Bells Travel and Tour. Call them on 059 397 2767, 059 397 2767, or 0308 040104, 0308 040104. We'll be back shortly after this quick break, and Professor Jampo is here. He's going to speak on this SML matter. Manasseh Azura Awene is joining us as well. And as always, I've been clothed this morning by Cobra Clothing. It's the best version of you. You want this outfit and many others you see me wear every Saturday on Key Point. Call them on 0244 238 341. That's 0244 238 341. They are located on the Spintex Road, 18 Junction, opposite the Allied Oil Filling Station. The ground floor, same building with the Ghana Made store. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us. to bring you insightful conversations on the economy, break down the biggest issues while setting the agenda for transformation and national development. The big and important stories are treated from the human interest angle, while the facts and the figures are painted with precision. So now, let's cut the convention and start the conversation here on Ghana Tonight. I am your host, Alfred Ocansey.
Ghana Tonight shows Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Kel Charcoal Toothpaste.
This weekend, Bichim United versus Nations FC, Hoho United versus Redeemer SC, and Asante Kotoko versus Karela United. Live right here on TV3, the Ghana Premier League. It's more than 3 points.
If you're looking to listen to thought-provoking conversations,
to avoid any further brouhaha, all this English to just say, I will do nothing.
I will ghost him. So like what you see, be like that.
I'm suddenly not feeling too well.
Answers to life's big questions.
Has someone asked you to do kapoha before?
I don't drink.
You go to church and pray for miracles. But that's somebody's money.
The owner is going to come.
For a show filled with excitement, laughter, and unforgettable moments.
Me, I live life full of drama to the left, to the right. If you see me, look this side,
to games that keep you laughing.
What in the name of Peppa Pig is going on here?
Just As Tonight is the place to be, where the fun never stops.
Just As Tonight now shows on
For the next mental star began from hundreds of hopefuls. 30 outstanding voices took the stage, bringing passion, power, and pure talent. But now, the real breakout begins. 16 dreamers ready to own the spotlight, chase greatness, and make history. Who will rise and who will fall? Find out as we unveil the top 16 finalists on Mentor Season 14, the Breakout Edition, this Sunday, 8 p.m. only on TV3.
Brought to you by Fratelli Calipo,
Darling Lemon Drink,
Darling XYZ Wine,
and Napa Foods, Ayede Soko Soko,
Shaltox Lozenges.
What is that?
This Saturday, yes, this Saturday, 1st November, is going down.
The outcome of the investigation is that the OSP will charge the following persons with various corruption and corruption-related offenses before the end of November 2025. 1. Kenneth Nanayao Oforiatta, former Minister of Finance. 2. Ernest Akori, chef de cabinet to Kenneth Nanayao Oforiatta as Minister of Finance. 3. Emmanuel Kofi-Nti, former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority. 4. Amishadai Owusu-Amoah, former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority. 5. Isaac Krensel, former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority and General Manager of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. 6. Joe Damwa, former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority and Member of Parliament for German South constituency. As part of the process, the OSP will seek to recover the financial loss caused to the Republic from the persons listed above.
Welcome back to Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7 on a number of radio stations across the country and also on the Voice of London Radio in the heart of the City of London. Professor Answa-Jampo, this is the OSP's latest on the OSP. That's the SML, charging 6 people. In fact, it says by end of the month, we will hear the charges that he's going to prefer on these 6 individuals he has just outlined. SML has issued a statement in their defense, but that doesn't, in the view of the OSP, change anything from what is found.
Thank you. I think and you should listen to me carefully, and then my panelists and those who are watching. See, given what I've done with my life from 2004 up till now, I'll be the last person to ever support any collusion between state officials and individual private organizations to loot from the state. I will never do that. The issue of metering our petroleum production system such that revenue is not lost to the state is something that should be supported by every well-meaning Ghanaian. If you are metering our petroleum production system such that we would not lose revenue and you mean well for Ghana, you must support it. This is the job that SML said they were doing. And this had generated a lot of hue and cry. And it culminated in the work, the investigations of KPMG. Now, if you look at the outcome of the KPMG work, they had identified some procedural issues, but essentially they were saying, in spite of the procedural issues that they had identified, the work of SML could go on. Now, power changed hands. We have an OSP going into the matter. Now, the OSP has found issues not only with SML, but also with even the work of KPMG. Now questioning even the credibility of KPMG and the work that they did. So OSP is saying that the work itself that SML is said to have done shouldn't have been done or never happened. And then it's also having serious issues with the processes or the investigative work of KPMG. We thought KPMG over the years had gained some credibility and reputation for the work that it does. But OSP is questioning even the way a manner they did the work. Now, this has culminated in the President of the Republic directing the termination of the whole SML deal. Now, I fully align myself with the directive of the President of the Republic, not because I'm his appointee, not just because I'm his appointee, but also because of my belief that if it is wrong, it is wrong. If it is right, it is right. If it is wrong, it is wrong. If it is right, it is right. And so if after the work of the OSP, that now question not only SML, but even the investigative audit of the KPMG, if in the reason of President, the thing is a no-no and it's wrong, then we all must support the President. But I have a question. See, in our quest to fight corruption and to tackle some of these things, we must go all out. I read and listened to the OSP saying that about 1.4 billion cedis have been paid the SML. 1.4 billion paid SML. But the OSP is saying it is going for a refund of 125 million. And it baffles my mind. If the work wasn't done, if the contract shouldn't have been entered into, then you, the lawyers, Martin Pebu, you are there. The contract itself is void. If it is void and we paid 1.4 billion, then why are you going to collect 125 million?
Okay.
Do the math. Subtract 125 million from 1.4 billion. Who benefits from the void contract of SML? And so I think this is something that you may want the OSP people to speak to, because I don't understand. Okay. If we pay them 1.4 billion and contract itself is void, then let us go for the entire amount, because the contract itself is illegal. Okay. Let's go for 1.4 billion rather than saying we are going for 125 million. Martin is there.
Aligns with the OSP's detailed findings in this report. This question that Professor Jampo is asking, Counsel, that in his understanding, if there was this amount of money spent or paid
in a void contract
to SML for no work done, but we are recovering just 125 million.
Yeah.
Where's the justification?
I perfectly agree with Professor Jampo. That side of the OSP report doesn't add up. It doesn't add up because it's just like the way KPMG made some mistakes in its own report. Because what Jampo is speaking is law. That if the contract is void, and not just the voidness, but let's bring some education. The Supreme Court says when something is void, it doesn't necessarily mean we will not pay. They will look at it on a case-by-case basis, okay? That's what the law, the current state of the law. So it means that this one, when it comes to the recovery, civil recovery, where when it gets to the Supreme Court, they say they will consider each case on its merit. But the good thing for us here is that the OSP's own report shows that SML did not do the work. Mr. Ocansey, I got the chance to get to some of the paragraphs. Look at paragraph 215. Even before 212, 215 mentions how the SML flow meters couldn't work. Then there's paragraph 212, then 213. There are many other paragraphs that show that SML didn't do the work. So, and with that, I don't see how Kisei Jabi is saying he'll recover only 125 million. So that part, I agree. Sometimes maybe he should have said the investigations, I mean, he will come out with the final figures when he's done with the, the charges. Mm-hmm. Because that much, I agree with Professor Jampo. We are going to take all that money because, look, when you look at the paragraphs, you see even from 164, 165 onwards, you will still see how SML was not up to the task at all. They kept lying and lying. And please, so when you look at the 215, 212, etc., you see how the reports, some of the reports were now being taken to Foriata. So Foriata was the one receiving reports of SML's false performance, etc., and he didn't do anything to stop them. So as for Foriata answering, he has a lot of questions to answer on this deal because at that point, he was receiving this report when SML was lying that, oh, our figures are good. First, they said their figures were tallying with the icons. Then later, they saw that they were lying. Then they said, oh, they need to change their flow meters. Look at paragraph 215 onwards. They say, we'll change the flow meters. So all that while, why were we paying when the work was not being done? The man is telling you that my machines are not working. So how are you paying him? And that's how come we come back to the Manasseh documentary. The head of IT, you see the guy, is it Mohammed or so? You see him, Gani. A picture is worth 1,000 words, okay? He's saying their equipment are not the best. The GRA, MPA equipment for measuring the flow meters, etc., are better than the SML one. So why are we paying? Why are we paying when the man is there? It's not even like a phone call for somebody to come and say his voice has been doctored or anything. You see him with your own eyes. So I agree with Professor Jampo.
I see. And Counsel, because this matter, by the end of the month, we'll get to know what the OSP intends to do. He didn't give any indication of the consideration of trial in absentia, an option that you have been, not just you, like Kofi Bentel and others have been pushing. Regardless of this finding, he still says he wants to go through the extradition process.
Look, if Kisi Ejabin insists on that, I'll be the first to present a petition for his removal from office. I'm saying this Article 146 proceedings. If Kisi Ejabin insists that he will not put Oforiatta before court immediately so that we can freeze his assets, I'll be the first to present a petition for his removal. Mr. Ocansey, I don't know how many times I have to cry this point, that as we stand here today, okay, OSP has not frozen his assets. If they've done and they are hiding it, then they should come out, because if you don't give us information, this is how we'll analyze. I'm saying that Oforiatta has many assets in Ghana, the shares in Enterprise Insurance, Data Bank, the houses, other businesses. So we need to be able to put him before court so that we can get the longer duration freezing asset. Currently, if you look in the OSP Act, the Act 959, yes, I think they have up to 14 days. Yeah, there's one which is 7, another 14. I don't have the act here. Obviously, I've traveled. But the key thing is that Kisi Ejabin's powers to freeze is limited. The maximum will be 14 days. So he has to go to court and get a longer freezing order. Now, he cannot have that when there's no case in court against, Oforiatta. So after charging them, and I explained the last time, when he says he's charging somebody, charging is done in the OSP office. So charging is not taking the person to court. So police charge in the various police stations across Ghana. Charging is done there for stealing so many offenses, right? If they murder, they do that. But later on, the Attorney General takes over. But what I'm saying is that charging is done in the law enforcement agency's office. It is not done in court. It's arraignment that is done in court. So when you formally present the case, so we need Kisi to eventually hurry up and send the case to court so that we'll get freezing orders over Oforiatta's assets. If we don't do that, we are going to lose everything. So I'm telling you, if Kisi has to come out and give us timelines, how he's going to hurry up to make sure that the assets are frozen. Otherwise, I'll be leading a petition for his removal. We can't take that. Well, it's not rocket science. Simple thing. He sat on this thing from 2023 up to now. Very slow. Kukwasa, pussyfooting like that, allowing Oforiatta to get away with murder. We will not take that from Kisi Ejabin.
Right.
We will not take that. Look, the OSP is not his private company. He's doing it in the public interest. He should hurry up and get into court and get freezing orders over the assets. That's why I keep saying that Kisi Ejabin is not speaking oral. He's not aligned with the oral principle. If he was aligned, by now he would have been in court long ago and made sure that he's frozen these assets. Oral says Operation Recover or Loot. Operation Recover or Loot. We can't afford to have Oforiatta sell these assets, transfer to various people, etc.
Thank you very much. Well, Matubebo, thank you for also your position on this matter. Number of your messages. Fifi Banson says, good morning. Is it not ironic that the current GRA boss was in charge of KPMG, the same firm that cleared SML? Why has he not been questioned? Fifi Banson, thank you very much for your message this morning. This one here from John says, the points made by Dr. Zato that the OSP is not the employer of SML in the case under investigation, so cannot say SML did the job or not, is clearly very, very flawed and cannot be entertained. The OSP has a mandate. It is exercising in the SML matter. If the Dr. Zato's suggestion should be accepted in any form, then it will make the creation and existence of the OSP needless and unnecessary, you'll say. And then also a good morning to you, Professor Stephen Kwekwasari, and the acknowledgement, and also to you as well, Toby, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, thank you very much. And then also Kwabla from Pokwase says, I didn't get the import of the message that you sent, but thank you very much for the message. Kojo Akakwatin says, please ask Dr. Zato why the state didn't use the past 8 years to get the monies he's constantly complaining about that the state has lost regarding all the as declared by the current Attorney General. They had all the time to prosecute these cases. So Why then did they wait till this point? This one here says, fact is, only Ken Ofori-Atta understands the so-called revenue assurance, and it brought us nothing but rather hardship. You'll say, Papa Bishu from Spintex Road. Thank you very much. Money as well sends a message on that same tangent, watching us on Facebook. Dr. Austin Game says, Nene, to be honest, and an experience gained over the years working in the public sector, ministry, and also in the private sectors, my findings are poor leadership provided by the board of directors, policy and strategy that are incoherent and poorly implemented. It's a bane of our situation on the matter you discussed earlier. Thank you very much. This leads us to an issue where Daryl Bosu is the Deputy National Director of Arocha Ghana. Daryl has been with us listening to all the heartbreaking, some of the comments made in the matter of defense as well that's put up. Daryl, thank you for joining us. Finally, the instrument revoking LI 2462, which was enacted in 2022 to ensure environmental management principles, and in fact allowing mining companies to mine in forest reserve, effectively will be revoked with this act that the acting Minister of Environment, Emmanuel Kofi-Boa, has done. You want to make a presentation on why the LI must be revoked. And, well, he's gone ahead to do this. So what exactly are you asking of him? How much of a difference will that make in the fight against Galamsey? And we've conceded that all the minutes are to you on this.
No, so
yes,
because we're working together in the fight against Galamsey when I that point, I think you allow me to make some preliminary comments about that.
In 1 minute.
Oh,
you are the host. Yes.
And then the lies again disease. No, so Alfred, a good move. I think that in our advocacy that more must be done in the fight against Galamsey, we said that the law itself that allow people to go into our forests to mine it down must be repealed. And I am happy that a motion has been tabled before Parliament for the repeal of that law. Now, those who are talking that the government is not doing anything about the fight against Galamsey, those who made the law to encourage people to go into the forest to mine it down, they are the ones who are saying the government are not isn't doing anything in the fight against Galamsey. Now, the law that you made to allow people to get into the forest to destroy it, it is being repealed by this government, and I think that it's a good move. The fight against illegal mining is a fight that must bring all of us together to support the government to ensure that we win, because without it, it's an existential threat. So, well, congratulations to the government, and I'm happy that this hasn't been one of the things that people talk about and they never implement. We would all police it and ensure that it goes through the motions to ensure that no one gets into the forest to mine it down.
Okay. Daryl,
yes. Thank you very much, Prof, and also Alfred for this opportunity, and also to the esteemed guests. I think this instrument in Parliament right now is very, very important and very commendable. I must say that we are very excited that the government is really living up to its commitment to repeal this LI. But I think just to remove any doubts, I mean, yesterday I was engaging with certain media channels, and they were even still not sure what really is the significance for this LI being revoked. And I might say that I want every Ghanaian to know that our forest reserves, as they were set up, they were not set up for them to be future mining concessions.
Right.
No. They were set up for the purposes of guaranteeing the provision of essential services for people in Ghana here. So for anybody to think that, wait, some Newmont or other companies are mining, so Ghanaian companies also have opportunity to mine our forest reserves in the future, that is not the reason why our forest reserves were set up. Now, the reason why I want to take us through this quickly is the fact that, look, before the LI 246 was passed in November 22, this was the status. There was a guideline, and it has actually been a policy of the Forestry Commission of the country to actually exclude mining in all forms from our forest reserve. But somewhere in the mid-80s, there was a process that also saw some 30 mining companies being allowed to do some prospecting. And that led to a decision that, look, we can't allow all of these people to go and mine in our forest reserve. So they came up with a guideline, and with that guideline, still set up a limit of about 2% of the total area of Ghana's production forest reserve, which constituted about 79%.
2%.
2%. So if you really look at the status we were before the LI came into being, it meant that only about 25,000 hectares of our forest reserves were going to be exposed to the risks of mining, just 2%. Now, LI 2462 comes online, and that is what we consider as one of government's own form of doing galamsey. Because when that LI came online, it meant that not only 2%, but 89% of our forest reserves were going to be exposed to mining. Because
89%.
that 89%, that LI alone was targeting production forests and even protected forest reserves. Compared to the previous guideline, which was only targeting 2% of production forest reserve. So this was what LI 2462 sought to do in 2022, exposing 89% of our forest reserves to mining risks. And then we called for a repeal. Government came 2025. Actually, the previous government tried it. There was an instrument, we all saw it, but it never went to Parliament. This government came, they also said they were going to repeal it. Somehow, they decided to amend. But I want people to understand the implication of that amendment. It only meant that 79%, it only meant that we're going to expose 79% of our forest reserves to mining. So only 10%. Between LI 2462 before the amendment, only 10% difference. And that's why we said that we needed to come back to the status quo where we had just 2% of our mining forest reserve exposed to mining. And that is why we are very excited that the government has taken steps not only to listen to the people, the voice of the people, but also to guarantee the protection of our forest reserves. But I must say that, look, this is only the battle have won. This is not going to solve the problem of galamsey. The government has also indicated that they are going to take steps to completely exclude mining from our forest reserve through the review of the Minerals and Mining Act 703. So we are really looking forward to that. But let's also not forget that even when the laws are in place, as a country, we need to stay vigilant and make sure that law enforcement, compliance mechanisms, and all of these things are in place. And I think that this is, for me, very, very crucial. And we must really come. And we are looking forward to the 21 days to elapse. And then we can all really be very happy about this progress that has been made. But Alfred, I want to step away from this, but I know we'll get the opportunity to comment on it. There is something right now happening in Atronsu. Seshwi Atronsu, between Awaso and Seshwi Bibieni. That community is struggling as we speak to keep away miners. Miners who have come to the community with excavators, connected, people who have identified themselves to be connected to the NDC. One particular person called Joe K, who has actually threatened the youth of the area that he is going to mine at whatever cost. We are calling on the municipal assembly, we are calling on the municipal police commander and NIMOS and every concern, even the regional minister, to really intervene. So this is what I'm just talking about. We have put in place these measures, but it does not solve the problem of the marauding incidents of galamsey all over the country. So it is only the battle have won, and we need to do more to support communities that are close to forest reserves, that are also trying to protect their community lands.
Now, yesterday, NIMOS got some resource backing and support. Some number of pickups and others. They've been asking for resources. When you met the president, I mean, I'm talking about the CSOs, he put an amount of money, a figure. The minister was asked a question, how much they would need in this fight against galamsey. So you need a resource to be able to fight the menace.
Yes.
And that's where the challenge is, because we can't have a lot of the resource. So without it, then what?
Well, Alfred, I think you talk about a very important point, and that's why we have always told ourselves that, look, when we sat down for this galamsey to get out of hand, eventually it is the state that's going to take the bill. You and I are going to be charged. We're going to be compelled to pay some taxes, to find some resources, to resource the very institutions that should have done their work in the first place. And that is why NAMOS has been set up. They have an excellent strategy in place, but they don't have sufficient resources and logistics to deploy. So they are really there. We all know NAMOS is there, but they are struggling. It is good to hear that they've been given some pickups and some, but that is not, they need nothing less than 30 million Ghana cedis just to deploy to the 21 locations that they've talked about. If you have listened to the Honorable Minister for Lands in the past, he said that, look, we will need about $10 billion to really fight galamsey. So really, if you look at what we claim we are getting from the whole gold value chain, and you ask yourself about the trade-offs, then the question is it really worth it? Because at the end of the day, we must fix the rivers for us to have wholesome water to drink. So is it worth it? And that is why we don't see why a government thinks that I can take the gold and not be bothered about what happens to the rivers and to the forest. These are very critical issues that we cannot discuss without really looking at the cost-benefit analysis of the whole value chain that we are so very much interested in prioritizing over everything else.
Isaac, that's a quick one on this. And Daryl, you can take a seat now. Okay. Yes, as a quick one on this while we round up.
So, I mean, this is very exciting to hear, to read that, you know, the LI to revoke mining in our forests is eventually, you know, coming on board. Hopefully, we see it out. It's an important step. As Daryl comments, is not the end of it. We need to keep fighting, you know, and actually ensure that, I mean, the guys who have been mining in the forest, most of them are not doing it under any law. Yeah. It's still illegal. So whether you have the law or not, you still need to put in measures to, you know, as it were, protect the forest. There's an important conversation about the cost benefit of mining, you know, and especially mining in our forest. The Atiwa forest, for example, very rich in bauxite. There's been conversations that were trying to, you know, exploit the bauxite in that forest. But that forest has been, you know, I think as far back as 1997, has been listed as one of the 38 most important places on Earth, you know, just because of the biodiversity, species, and stuff like that, you know. And if you look at our track record, mining around, you know, what we've done to our rivers and all of that, I don't see how we will be able to, you know, extract that bauxite and not totally destroy those biodiversity, which is very essential. It is the head pond for about 3 major rivers that we have in the country, you know, providing livelihood to millions of Ghanaians, you know, and we just want to go in there, take the bauxite out. The issues that we face, even with gold, you know, there are many Ghanaians who have actually never seen, you know, gold before. You know, but we all face all the challenges with, you know, what do we call it? The devastation gold is wrecking on our environment. So as a people, as a country, we need to get our priorities right. We need to think a bit beyond the immediate and the short-term gains that we will get from this mineral exploration. Let's think about how we can, if we really need to commercialize all of these forest reserves, we can think around things like eco parks and stuff like that that maintains, you know, the integrity of these forests and natural reserves, you know, and still give us some sort of resources. I'm sure Ghanaians will be keen to go to Etiwa, walk out with some canopy walks and, you know, see all these different species and things that ordinarily you won't find anywhere else, you know, instead of just really going after gold, going after minerals and destroying everything. Thank you.
Also to you, thank you so much, Daryl Bosso. And Daryl is going to be continuously engaging. I know that the stakeholders are coming together. Beyond this, they're asking more questions. So we're having them in this. Professor Ransford Jampo, to you, thank you as well. Daniel Yardemelovo, Dr. Zato, and then also Martin Pebo. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on The Key Point. I am Alfred Ocansey. Do have a great weekend. Up next is warm-up.